She does dog, cats, and girls. She had a child. She wanted getting away. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't really just leave your child with that. So she
do anything like that, it doesn't pick up too well.
invocation, please.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council. Welcome to tonight's workshop. It's Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, and the time is 7:05. Workshops do not require a particular quorum or anything like that, but we do have council folks here. This is being live streamed as well. So the public at home can see this. And what will be presented is an overview of projects that we have throughout Haslet and plans moving forward, plans that eventually the council will see. And I want to, we have Ms. Dean Long from Tarrant County. Thank you. Jeff, what's your last name? Jeff Neal. I knew that. Jeff Neal from North Central Texas Council of Governments. And of course, we have our consultants. We have, of course, our city engineer, Mike Anderson. We have Mr. Carl Dezee from Kimley Horn. And we have Mr. Jody Short, and excuse me, your last name? Yes. Very good. Welcome, and thank you for coming. Trying to get these, particularly Mr. Dezee and Lee Engineering folks and Mr. Anderson crowd on one evening is a task. They are extremely busy, as everybody in this room is. I know we are. So, no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Mike Anderson. He'll be your host.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, members of the public, and other concerned and interested parties. We got a brief outline here up on the screen. I'm going to begin with an overall what we're calling a regional connectivity transportation improvement projects exhibit. And the intent of this exhibit is to show how all these projects that we're going to present in greater detail this evening kind of fit together here in Haslet, but show how they tie the region together as well. So I'm going to do my best to control the presentation from this stick. It's one big PDF. William said he's got me. So here we go. Let's try this.
Let me ask, so are you controlling this from?
Yes.
That's on our server, I mean on our, oh, okay, so it's
Yes.
being broadcast to the public as well?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
My monitor is not working. I know.
Turn this one too if you want. This one's working.
Is the one next door
Yeah, that one's working fine. Oh, it's on.
Oh, excuse me, and we can, and well, I guess we should. Workshops, we don't do them very often. This might have been the second one, if or not the first one here in a while. But nonetheless, we have call to order, but there's no need to call to order. Let's have an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Thank you, Almighty Father, for your many gifts. Thank you for all the wisdom and intelligence that help put these plans together. We need that. Thank you so very much. Now, if you'll stand with me and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizen participation comments. Does anybody have anything they would like to comment on before we get into this presentation? Yes, ma'am. Can you approach the podium and
You have to state your name and your address.
turn on the mic? Just press the button. You got a green light. You're ready to go. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hey, Whitney Myers, 207 Taniani. I'm just curious if what's actually on the screen will be accessible to us, not just like a view of them with the screen behind, but if we'll be able to see it on.
Are-
Yeah, it's being video recorded.
Okay, but the actual screen of the presentation will be there?
Are you asking if there's going to be PDFs available?
Yes.
We don't have it in PDF format, but I mean, for handouts, it is a accumulation of many separate PDFs, but we can work on that.
Yeah, I guess just some way to make what is on the screen available to the citizens, besides just looking at, trying to see it behind all your heads.
Very good.
Video.
Is there anybody online?
Yes, Mayor.
Say it again.
Yes, Mayor, there is someone online.
Well, anybody online that wants to speak?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Good. And last call for the audience? All right, then.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
before we move on, may I just say one little thing?
Say again?
Before we move on, may I just say one little thing?
Yes.
I just want to thank you for having this tonight. I think this is incredibly important for the citizens of Haslet. This information is incredibly important, and everybody's been clamoring for it. So I just want to thank you for all your hard work and getting this put together for us.
And thank you very much. I would like to thank Mr. Mike Anderson, Lee Engineering, and Kimley Horn. They are the, and I'll say also COG and Misty Long, Tarrant County. I mean, these people make things happen, you know, in the development and presentation of it. But thank you very much. Mike Anderson.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. What we have on the screen here is our regional transportation improvements and connectivity exhibit. You'll note at the top a project that's no longer in yellow, and that's the new east-west Keller-Haslet extension, which was of great need and is providing benefit and relief for folks trying to get from the nether regions of Fort Worth out down to 156 and to their places that they need to be. The next intersection as you move south, you'll see is the intersection of FM 156, Westport Parkway and Schoolhouse Road. We've got some improvements planned there that we're hoping we can coordinate with Tarrant County. We're in the process of working on an ILA for those. The next project down here is the, yes, sir.
Can we try not to use acronyms as much as possible because not everybody knows what an ILA is?
Yes, sir.
I apologize.
That's okay. That would be an interlocal.
Since this is for the public.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That would be an interlocal agreement whereby the city of Haslet and Tarrant County enter into an agreement to construct certain roadway improvements. The next project we've got on the screen is the Aendale Haslet grade separated crossing. We've got our Blue Mound Road corridor, our east-west corridor, and we've got some improvements that we'd like to see done in conjunction with the county out here on Lacey Drive to relieve some congestion on Blue Mound Road. So again, overall exhibit. One of the things I want to point out, and I know everyone here is familiar with Haslet, there's probably not another place in the world that's located next to an interstate highway, next to an international airport, and next to a rail yard like this, and completely surrounded by a Fort Worth. I don't know what the population of Fort Worth is, but
It's the 11th largest city in the United States.
well, there you go. So, you know, there's neighborhoods in Fort Worth that's landmass the size of Haslet, right? And so what we're uniquely faced with here as far as planning and engineering is how do we deal with this development that's occurring in and around Haslet, a lot of it being outside beyond the jurisdiction, the platting jurisdictions, and of Haslet. As you can see here, all these proposed lots, I think there's approximately 6,000 of them up here in Fort Worth. We don't have anything that we've been provided on this piece of property here. And there's another 10,000 folks waiting to move in over here just as soon as we get a sewer line done through Haslet. So we're uniquely posed to deal with development in adjacent municipalities and the associated traffic and congestion thereof. So again, just an overall exhibit. There was some discussion and a presentation. Oh, I'm controlling it with the on Monday evening about the State Highway 170 intermodal flyover, and we had mentioned that we had been trying to work with TxDOT to get some additional information as it relates to the impact of this project on the city's roadway network. And I put this graphic together this afternoon with the help of the gentleman in my office. And the purpose of this is to show this flyover project, if you will, from 170 at the general vicinity of Cabela's or Bass Pro or both now, coming down here to Transport Drive. And the development at the end of the road here is approximately 10 million square feet of new warehouses out in Fort Worth. And so what we're trying to sort out is what are the impacts of this project on the local roadway network due to the development of this property beyond the city, and the use of the city's right-of-way, both on Haslet Parkway and Intermodal Parkway, and what are the effects of that? And we know that both of those roadways most probably are going to need to be expanded to 6 lanes at some point. And the construction of this bridge potentially impacts the ability for those roadways to be expanded in the future. We also don't know, and we asked, what are the other impacts on the roadway network when we met with the consultant team. And the things we asked were, hey, can we look at these intersections in Haslet, which are directly along the route, south and generally east of this development? What are those impacts on the roadway network? And how do those tie back to this direct connect project? So when we asked, the consultant said, well, we're going to take some traffic counts. Everybody sees where we're at. Here's the Cabela's over here. We're going to take some traffic counts in and around over here. We are going to take some at Westport and Intermodal and over here at I-35 in Westport. But you can see they didn't really go back up into Haslet and look at or take any counts or do any study work in the vicinity of other intersections that we believe may be impacted by this project.
Excuse me, Mike, real quick. When you,
Yes, sir.
During your references, when you reference a consultant, the consultant TxDOT hired to do the TIAs for them?
Sir, they were the bridge design team, Pape Dawson. They were hired to go through and prepare the schematic bridge design, which is laid out on the back. We'd asked them to provide the traffic impact analysis, which I don't think was part of their scope of services. And they did put together a draft impact analysis, but that analysis didn't necessarily take into account these potentially impacted intersections as requested.
I was just more curious if that was a consultant that we as a city had hired.
No, sir.
Okay.
That would be TxDOT's consultant for the flyover project.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You're aware of the infographic that is included in that Westport part?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That it's coming from the NSF to over 60 coming down.
Yes, ma'am. The components in red. Oh. The Cavenue project. Yes.
Include all the robotics and all the technical.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll ask the audience if you, most people at home will.
Do me repeat that?
Well, if you want.
Can you hear me now? I'd asked Mr. Anderson if he was aware about the info grant that included for the smart port that came from BNSF over to Old 156 and down to the Intermodal Parkway, and he said he did.
Yes, ma'am.
So.
We've had 2 meetings with the Cavenue folks, the mayor and myself, in the last 8 months.
And Fort Worth is currently under construction for their portion of that.
Intermodal? Yes, ma'am.
And then we have a portion of that we are in talks with TxDOT on maybe starting some design work, but we're not sure.
Okay.
We're right. What does that mean?
Oh, I can. My name, thank you, and good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Neal. I'm a Senior Projects Manager with the North Central Texas Council of Governments. This project that's being shown on the screen is referred to as the Alliance Texas Inland Port Project, and it won an $80 million infra grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. The $80 million grant will then come in to fund an overall nearly $262 million project of combined transportation funding from public entities as well as contributions from Hillwood Corporation and their partners to build the large development there. I think it's called the Westport Industrial District. I may have that incorrect, and I apologize. But the idea is that development in its location strategically serves freight coming out of the BNSF Intermodal Yard as well as Perot Field. And being able to have such proximity to those connections will allow for the ability for efficient movements on the roadways there. But then to connect to the interstate highway system, the proposal is to use Intermodal Parkway technology enhancements to allow for better communications to truckers, improved logistics operations so that you don't have trucks traveling on the roadway when shipments aren't available or bunching up those shipments too much as they're going in and out of the facility. and so Intermodal Parkway for that whole distance from the intermodal yard down to Interstate 35 or to this new direct connector facility will ultimately have 6 lanes, 3 in each direction. And the idea is that the ramps, the new proposed ramps coming in, this what's called Spur 170, the connection from 170 up to Intermodal Parkway, when it lands in the median of Intermodal Parkway, it basically becomes the 3rd lane proposed in each direction. For Intermodal Parkway going up to the intermodal yard and back. And so overall, with those improvements, both traditional infrastructure as well as all this innovative technological advances, about $262 million. And I might add that the $80 million awarded with the infra grant, this project was the only project in Texas to receive that award.
It's a workshop, we can, right?
Say it, what's your question?
It's open forum, so we can discuss. She's asking if she can openly.
Can I ask one question before you?
Yes, but we would like to, we got a lot of material and a lot of different projects to move along. So if you can make it, a brief question, please.
Can I ask one question before you do? Yeah. You had talked about $262 million, I think is the number you used. Is that right? And that we have an $80 million grant. Do you know how much Haslet would be responsible for monetarily for this project? Is there any idea of that?
Yep.
I think that's going to be a big question on all these projects is what is Haslet's obligation for them?
That is an excellent question, Council Member. In the overall cost revenue matrix that was developed for the project, combining resources from TxDOT, City of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Hillwood Corporation, and their partners, I can actually say that Haslet's contribution in terms of cost to this project is 0.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're gonna have them speaking to each other. I'm gonna let you hold that.
Okay, my question, I guess, before you started, is did we have an independent third-party infrastructure feasibility
Study completed, or are we piecemealing all of this information that we're getting from TxDOT, from Hillwood, from the other organizations that are funding into infrastructure needs that are no doubtly needed and necessary, but north of Haslet nonetheless? So just trying to understand where we collected our information and how we are basing the decisions on what we're looking at tonight.
That's a
I
great
think
question.
that Jeff could answer that. COG is a central collector of this in a way, along with their partner TxDOT. So go ahead if you want to expound on that, Jeff.
Does everybody know what NTCOG is? Okay, North Texas Council of Governments, can you just explain what that is before you, so everyone knows your organization?
Yes, indeed. There's a long range transportation plan. Current one is building 2045 update. It's available on our website. www.nctcog.org. And just look up information on what's called our Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
I would like to add to that, Pat, you'll be next, is that your Mayor Gary Halsey recently became a member of the executive board. And we meet once a month and go through that. If you have a question about COG, I can help answer that as well, or know where to go on that website or whom to contact. Pat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rich.
And you're correct, and by way of right-of-way in an agreement, that'd be part of our support for the project. But there's no monetary, there is no dollars given.
That is correct, and I apologize for not, if I didn't make that clearer earlier. The idea is that in terms of whether Haslet would be responsible for costs associated with right-of-way, that would be zero, but the contributions in order to be able to acquire right-of-way needed for the project would come from other sources.
And very particularly, if there was additional private property that needed to be purchased for that project, the project pays for that.
Well, that was a great segue, and I was not prepared to go that in depth on all those projects. So, no, I appreciate that, and that's great context because there is a lot going on out here, and it's coming very fast, and we're attempting to process and digest and deal with things as they come at us. So, I do certainly appreciate the questions and the responses from you two.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes, sir.
Would it be all right if I make one additional comment?
Absolutely.
Based on this matter?
Please. I would like to add one thing. Very good, Jeff. Thank you. Is that what you're seeing on this map right now, and actually a larger area, particularly to the north and east and west of this, is known as an inland port. This particular one happens to be one of the most, I'll say, sophisticated as well as largest inland port in the United States. So given that, the city of Haslet has a lot of work that we have to do and coordinate with other entities, both private and public. But I just want to make that point. It's hard to recognize who we are and where we are when we grow up in it, and day by day and the years go by, and what has this become? It's one of the most sophisticated inland ports and busiest and largest in the United States. And we'll get a lot more. I mean, that movement. Very good.
Okay. See if I can make this work again. Yeah. Technology's right.
Excuse me, Mayor. Some folks online have requested that everyone who's speaking in the audience come up to the podium so they can hear what they have to say.
Say that again.
Oh, just going forward, some folks on the online forum have asked that in the future people come up to the podium so they can hear what they have to say.
Those microphones are the same ones.
They have handheld mics. Are they saying they cannot hear the audience?
I think they are saying that they are unable to hear people in the audience. Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's change microphones. Will you get the other microphone? There's two. All right. Can we just do a quick test?
Test.
Can someone in the audience, ask someone in the audience if they can hear?
If they're on here, they're not going to see it because of this. This is a problem.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's isolated to this, so
Okay.
you can start it over and rejoin that and see.
Are they not working? Or is that one not working?
It's working to the stream. The go-to meeting, for whatever reason, is muting the outgoing, and we're working on that, but it is going to the website for streaming.
All right. Can we just not use that one? So the other one is working.
Yeah, he said he can hear that
Streaming
one.
correctly to the website. It's just the go-to meeting.
MB says he
I
can hear
see.
that one. See that? He can hear one, but not the other.
I'm curious, can the people on the online audience, can they hear me?
They say yes.
All right, these mics are working fine. So can we just get a table mic here and put it up there? And we would ask then that you come to the podium, please, when you speak, for the benefit of the online audience.
Test.
Mr. Anderson, or whoever was speaking last. Mr. Anderson.
I think I may be up.
You're
We
up.
have one more technical challenge. I lost control of the, oh, there, it just got back. So thank you for hitting that hot button. Okay, so I think I was trying to, yes, talk about the additional study areas requested in red. We understand the improvements done to the roadway through technology to improve freight traffic at the intersections. directly along the corridor. However, as Mr. Neal stated, not all the trucks are going to come in along the route, and so it's a paramount concern to the city that all these additional intersections get analyzed and all the effects and/or impacts to the roadway network be taken into account, whether it's by this project or the bigger SMART project. That's very important to the city. My job as the city engineer is to ensure that all impacts to the system are offset by the development, whether it's a roadway or a developer coming in to develop property. The citizens of Haslet don't want to have to pay for things that they don't and shouldn't have to. So,
May I ask a quick question?
yes, sir.
Sorry.
You're all right.
Is there a timeline on that $80 million grant that we've been awarded for this, or whoever has been awarded for that bridge? I know grants sometimes are tricky. And sorry, the reason I ask is because if we continue to ask for where the red dots are and all the different evaluations and that sort of thing, are there things we can be doing in the interim to make sure that we keep the ball moving, so to speak, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your question. Again, this is Jeff Neal with the North Central Texas Council of Governments. In terms of the deadlines regarding the infra grant, couple that I can mention. This was awarded fiscal year 26 infra grant funds. They need to be obligated, meaning there needs to be a signed agreement between the recipient of the infra grant and the federal government, in this case, the Secretary of Transportation. That agreement must be executed before September 30th of 2029. So, and then once, regardless actually of the actual date that it's signed, one other important caveat is that the project will need to go under construction no less than 18 months following the obligation execution. Then after that, there is an expenditure deadline, meaning that the $80 million in infra grant funds would need to be spent and the project closed out by September 30th of 2034.
Let me ask you, who's the designated grant recipient?
TxDOT.
TxDOT. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then you asked in regards to looking at potential impacts and such. Now, obviously, in terms of any TxDOT project or any project, even those undertaken by a local government, certain study areas, boundaries are established, indicating a certain level of influence. And while I know that there's been some question about that, the one thing that I can also state is that this is a project that will receive federal dollars. As a result, TxDOT is required to prepare an environmental documentation highlighting what those impacts will be, how they can be addressed and where, because of the National Environmental Policy Act. TxDOT is legislatively bound to accomplish that, and of course, being able to receive federal funds requires that TxDOT, in order to implement the project, needs to have considered concerns and tried to identify can they be addressed practically and in some ways being able to go forward.
Pat.
Past experiences of mine with TxDOT, they have something called on and off schedule or something like that.
On and off system.
On and off system, okay. Would this be a on or off system for the city of Haslet, and the impact of this on our fire department and emergency services?
This is a owned system. I can answer that. Thank you. This is an owned system project, meaning as TxDOT is the grant recipient, TxDOT is and COG and Hillwood and Kavanaugh, and there are a number of parties involved in both the funding as well as the involved in construction. And and eventually the maintenance once it's opened up. Haslet will not be involved in the maintenance of anything here. That would be a 100% TxDOT roadway. That is owned system. With regard to emergency response, will there be a impact on our emergency response? Most likely. We hope not. That means there was an accident. But I'll say this, with last year's implementation of the mutual aid agreement with Fort Worth, we not have but one fire department, we've got 5 that responds. And we got the airport fire department right here, which is Fort Worth, in the immediate area. So we're well equipped for emergency response.
William, one more time with that hotkey over there. Okay. There we go. So there is the schematic. This is an updated schematic that was prepared in an attempt to coordinate several developments that are in various stages of planning, development, and construction along the Haslet Parkway right-of-way. One of the questions that we had for the design team when we were informed of this project last summer was, how are you going to support this bridge? Is that horizontal bents or those center support bents? Because we've got projects trying to come in like the Quick Trip. I don't know if everybody can see the Quick Trip right there. Quick Trip's actually got its awning up, so that's coming quick. So trying to coordinate turn lanes, driveways, as well as underground gas tanks and the like associated with developments, and getting a feel for what the right-of-way implications or needs for this project were. This exhibit's been revised, and William, if you could kind of zoom in on the vicinity of my cursor there, that would be great. There's some, I've highlighted some yellow, which is additional right-of-way. The first exhibit didn't show any right-of-way, so we were trying to get a feel, is that center supported, horizontal bent supports. They were able to refine their schematic slightly and show some right-of-way takes through there. And we were able to work successfully with Quick Trip to rearrange and relocate underground gas tanks to avoid the right-of-way take you would see there in yellow, to allow for the horizontal bridge bents. You notice the right-of-way take gets larger at the intersections because we have ultimate intersection improvements that are being actively constructed at Harmon Road. There's $1 million worth of work at that intersection right now that's being implemented with Quick Trip. And so it was of paramount concern to us on the front end of this was how all this is going to work. So they went back and did a little bit of work to figure out, oh yeah, we're going to need some right-of-way through here. So you go back to the original exhibit that we were presented, it did not show right-of-way. So this exhibit was provided to us in January of this year, showing the right-of-way. We were able to make all this work in conjunction with the Quick Trip and keep things moving. Those are the types of questions that the mayor and myself are asking of the project. Is we have things that are actively ongoing. We can't and don't feel that it's necessary to wait until the project's fully funded, fully designed. There's things we can do at a high level to work to make sure that these projects that the city are doing, as well as the adjacent developments, aren't impacted. And that's just smart for everybody because we're all taxpayers in here. So I just wanted to point that out. And one of the things that we had asked was, hey, in lieu of this horizontal bridge bent construction, if you could make that full screen again, William. I don't have that capability. In lieu of the horizontal bridge bents, could we look at a center supported bridge? And that one may take a second. It's a big drawing. That's what we're talking about when we say horizontal bridge bents. So what you see on the screen, we asked for that 10 months ago, and we didn't get it. So I had my guys put it together in 4 hours yesterday. We're not asking for full-blown, we're just trying to work with, we have stuff coming in daily, trying to come in, and we're trying to do things the best we can with limited information. And the goal of this is to see, okay, they need 37.5 feet of additional right-of-way to construct this type of bridge, this support. These are the flyover lanes. These are the existing 4 lanes of Haslet Parkway. We have an existing 120-foot right-of-way, but in order to build the bridge like this, you're going to need, I can't even see that number, I'm getting too old, 195, okay? Well, that impacts adjacent developments. When you have bridge construction like that, it impacts your turn lane, it impacts your site visibility, it impacts your ability to locate drives along the road. I think this option from the consultant's perspective worked great because it didn't require Haslet to have to relocate their water and sewer lines that were run right down the middle of Haslet Parkway. And I understand that. It also allowed for the eventual expansion of Haslet Parkway to 6 lanes, which is all things that need to be taken into consideration when you're considering a project like this. And those are all impacts that may or may not be totally fleshed out during the environmental phase. And those are all impacts, which means money. And we're just trying to make sure that we understand where that money's coming from. So the option that we asked them to look at was this option. This is a center-supported bridge. Now, this requires less right-of-way, approximately 12.5 feet on each side, which means less impact to the adjacent property owners. There's fewer of these structures based on the schematic and the layout, the spacing that we were provided with. And I don't know which one costs more to build, this one or the one, and I'm not a bridge guy, but these are all things that a bridge guy can figure out. And all we're trying to do is get this level and turn it over and say, hey, can you do a little bit of work for us on this? Not take it full-blown engineering, but construction of this type of center support would require relocation of water and sewer lines, right? Well, you know, what does that cost? Well, we could figure that out in 2 hours. It's
Jeff, you want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Anderson, thank you so much. One of the things I think might be important to keep in mind is that the improvements, the overall improvements that we're identifying for Haslet Parkway, even those within our Metropolitan Transportation Plan, they're all not identified to be implemented at the time that the proposed direct connectors would be built. Obviously, it's important to look at how best to approach it if Haslet Parkway is widened. I know within our transportation plan, the timing of the improvements indicate that the bridge arrives before the need for a 3rd lane in each direction. And so when you think about staging and the best way to be able to implement both projects with the most effectiveness in terms of cost in mind is a really good point, Mr. Anderson, with the center. So if the bridge is coming in first and you're building the center column, and it doesn't end up requiring the need for additional needs to the outside, and knowing that you can still build your turn lanes when it comes to intersections. If the additional capacity then comes in later, you have no obstacles to the outside with which to add those additional lanes. Those can come later, and those I certainly would surmise will be less costly, less impactful, because you're not having to deal with a straddle bent. If you build that with the straddle bent, the only way then that you can widen Haslet Parkway is to the inside. And of course, if you do that, you're relying a great deal on whether or not, what are any obstacles that might be in the way of doing that. And if for whatever reason anything must be widened to the outside, you're having to constantly deal with the location of straddle bents.
And you're absolutely right. And what we are doing, see, we have on the perimeter on each north and south side of this proposed bridge, is businesses coming in today.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we're working with the design team and understanding is that, okay, we need some answers today for the other developments, such as, okay, well, we got something and we had to, Mike Anderson and his team had to work very closely with the Quick Trip people. Well, you need to move your underground tanks now over here and do this. Here's what you got to do with your on-site sign, the canopy, et cetera. So this is not, we are in a very dense area and trying to put in a very big object.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes,
Very
indeed.
good. Well,
Totally
thank you, Jeff.
understand. And just to add, certainly, because I don't want to contradict or say anything against what has been discussed by our TxDOT engineers. Certainly, they're the ones that are advancing this project. They have obviously a great deal more expertise on this than I do. But again, within the context of developing environmental documentation, these issues must be dealt with. And looking at it from the approach of, do you build the straddle bit now to accommodate 6 lanes and widen on the inside versus building in the center, leaving the 2 lanes, and then ultimately in the future adding the 3rd lane as a separate project, which we know that's going to happen. There's still ability within this study to account for the pros and cons for each of those, and I can assure you that would be something that TxDOT would look at. They may not have the final answers or the absolute locations right now. They get close to that, obviously, when you get environmental clearance and when you get the completion of what plans, specifications, and estimates, what you'll hear TxDOT refer to as PS&E. Basically, that means final design.
And that's what we're striving for, is to get that because of today's demands of the developments.
Right. You have to balance between what all do you know so that you don't impact the speed and necessity for developments that are pending right now versus getting all the action right so that you have an effective environmental document that addresses all concerns. And so
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask that we can move along with this because we got, this is one of 7 projects to review, and we've been.
We're on slide 8, and I got 115.
All right, so, okay, so please, everybody understand that, and if you got a question, not discouraging that, but be very concise and short as possible. But we want to cover all these projects this evening. So, talk fast.
Haslet Parkway update. Everybody's clamoring for this one. Okay, this is an aerial taken a couple months ago, so it's pretty accurate. The Haslet Parkway project currently terminates at Station 69. Kind of put a little label up here. There's earthwork. You can kind of see the mound of dirt and debris and construction materials that we're trying to figure out how that's all going to get resolved, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. Originally, this project was programmed to run through 156 Schoolhouse Road and then terminate at the city limits line there on the other side of the highway. But where we're at on that is we've got a road that stops at Station 69, and we went out and we did an inspection. TxDOT had asked us to accept the project, and we went out there. Well, they called us out to talk about a traffic signal is what happened. I went out there and they said, well, we're ready to do a walkthrough. And
Define who is we.
We would be myself, David Rogers, and Carl DeZee. Were you on that initial walk?
Well,
The
let's just
project
speak,
engineer.
the city, Belchip and Associates, and Kimberly Horn.
Yes, sir. And so, this is a big project. I don't remember what the price tag was, $65 million. I know there's 1,200 sheets of plans in it. And you go out there to look at a traffic light, that's one thing, but you can't do a walkthrough in one afternoon with no plans. But we said, okay, let's just look at this. So we spent the next 2 weeks trying to figure out where this thing was at as far as, is this project ready to be accepted by the city of Haslet? And I've got about 2,000 pictures on my server and ran out of time to put them through here, but there's things as you leave Station 69, I'm just trying to give you some rough examples of some of the things on this project that they were asking the city of Haslet to accept. Underneath that mound of dirt there is a water line connected to the city's water system and a sewer line connected to the city sewer system that the city, Public Works, Mr. Rogers and Mr. Tucker and their associates cannot access, nor can the city access or maintain that right away. I meant to go by there and take photos today. Mary, you said you were going to do that for me, by the way. But there's sunflowers out there that are 6 feet tall right now. We can't mow, we can't access, we can't maintain because that's not what the plan showed as far as the grades that were supposed to be out there on the project. So there's a manhole, there's a partially completed manhole underneath this piece of plywood in that traffic cone. Okay, so we went through and we said, well, we can't accept this in this condition because it's not acceptable. It's got to be built in accordance with the plans and specifications. So
And please define what acceptance means.
Sorry.
Is that we accept it, we'll own it and maintain it. That's what acceptance means.
That's correct.
Otherwise, what eventually happened, we did a letter of substantially completion. We have not accepted it, but we acknowledge you for this piece is substantially complete, but there's a lot of other work to do.
Term substantially complete means facilities in service. If it's a sewer line, you can flush the toilet, the sewer line works, but they may not have the grass growed up around where they cut or they put the sewer line in. Final acceptance means it looks exactly like you put in the drawings. And so that's what we ended up coming up with was, okay, the roadway is substantially complete up to a point. And I put together a letter. Mr. DeZ and his firm is the engineer of record on the project, so they sent in a punch list to TxDOT on May 30th because they were trying to get everything wrapped up by June 1st. And we said, okay, here, we've done a walkthrough. We're substantially complete up to this point. However, there is a list of items that must be rectified until such time as this project can be determined acceptable by the city of Haslet, right? We have to be able to figure out, and I know that this project had some nuance to it, and it ended in a weird fashion where it ended, right? But there's ways we could work together to figure out how to get that facility so that the water system can be made whole, the sewer system can be made whole, the right-of-way that the city owns and is supposed to operate and maintain can be done so. There's construction materials, there's pipe, there's manholes, junction boxes, all sorts of things strewn about out there. And if this project doesn't deal with that, then the city of Haslet's going to have to deal with that because it's on your property at the end of the day. We need to figure out where the sidewalks are that don't exist from intermodal on. You just lost your myriad of things, all documented in the letter that we're just asking for some response on how we're going to move forward and clear this project up, right? So this was sent in on the 30th of May, I believe, and we haven't heard anything back. So that's where we're at, Haslet Parkway. Mayor, do you have any new additional information? Carl, anybody on?
I would like to take the opportunity, and the previous project, the flyover, that is defined as a owned system project. Haslet Parkway was an off-system project. That means when we do a final acceptance for the pieces of it, we own it and we'll maintain it henceforth. That's just a comparison of the two. Does someone up here have a question?
Yeah. I was going to ask, what are the next steps? Are we going to send another letter, try to get a hold of some people?
We had a productive meeting, the mayor and myself, about 3 weeks ago with a couple folks from TxDOT. We told them that we've got a myriad of things coming down the pipeline, all of which we'll discuss this evening, that we're going to have to work hand in hand with TxDOT on. They've assured us that they were going to get us a response to this sooner than later. We need to give them some time because they had a new gentleman coming in. He's getting his feet wet. So I think where we're at is I need to get a meeting set up. I told you Monday night I was going to get a meeting set up. I will get that meeting set up this week. I will set the meeting up for a time in the future this week, and we can just keep you apprised of that. But the meeting's needs to focus on this and a myriad of other things. So we can just update you at a future council meeting or on my report if you don't mind. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Will there ever be a red light, stoplight at Sweetgrass and Haslet Parkway right there, kind of where the new church is going to be in that area?
At this point, the traffic impact analysis done with the church, it did not warrant a street light at that location. Now, at some point when Haslet Parkway is connected, right, and everything's developed, we'll have to look at it again, and the answer is probably going to be different. Moving on, talk about another good project here. Everybody's probably, oh, there we go. Aendale Haslet grade separated crossing. So this, just in context, this is the bridge over the railroad tracks that was proposed by TxDOT couple years back. This was sent over as the proposition by TxDOT. This is the 3 lanes going into the rail yard. Here you have John Day Road to the west, FM 156 here on the east. The challenge with this crossing are the grades coming down to FM 156 and the vertical clearance required at the railroad tracks. You end up with basically a bridge that's maxed out in the current construction of FM 156 elevation-wise. They have limitations. I think 6% is the maximum grade that state highway designs to as it relates to bridges. So one of the questions that we had early on this project was, have you guys taken this right here and done an analysis on the stopping sight distance? And the answer was no. And so the city, after the mayor did it, he did his own analysis and he did a pretty good job. We hired Lee Engineering. And Jody, this is your turn to get up here and take some of the spotlight. Well, there you go. So this is Jody Short with Lee Engineering. He's my traffic guy, one of them, and we asked him to go through, take the traffic projections that were done as part of the traffic impact analysis for Haslet Parkway, look at the projected traffic along Haslet Parkway, go out, record actual counts, and do a queuing study and stopping sight distance analysis on the bridge, and that's where you pick up, right?
Awesome. Well, as I said, I'm Jody Short. I'm with Lee Engineering, 3030 LBJ Freeway. As Mike said, they have this proposal and identified a concern about sight distance coming across the bridge. It's an somewhat unusual situation where you have a railroad track and state highway very close together. You got to get up a certain elevation above the railroad track, and you got to get back down to grade at the state highway. And getting the roadway to work there is tricky. It's got a steep grade between the track and the state highway, a little more flat coming in, and creates some unique sight distance issues. The mayor identified concern that, if we've got cars stopped at the traffic signal, they're going to be backing up, and at some point, as a car approaching, you may not be able to see the line of stopped cars. We went through a process of, as Mike said, looking at the different, the queuing, and looked at a range of queues to see at what point would we have a problem? If so, at what point would that be? We went to develop the geometrics proposed for the bridge at a 60% stage, measured the available sight distance at various points across the roadway. And what we have summarized in that table is the Q200, Q300, that's a 200-foot queue from the traffic signal all the way up to a 700-foot queue.
And please say what Q200 means. That's not 200 cars.
Not yes, I'm sorry. That is a queue 200 feet long, which would be approximately 8 cars, assuming a car takes about 25 feet. So it'd be a car 8 cars long. And at a traffic signal, it's going to vary throughout the day, so we wanted to look at a variation of the queue length to be sure we didn't have issues. Measured the available, then we calculated what would be needed. And a couple of variables that go into that are the braking distance, which is impacted by the grade. If you're going downhill, it takes longer to stop. And that's reflected in the calculation here. The reaction time, we have standards that say it takes 2.5 seconds to sense that you need to stop, figure out what you're going to do, put your foot on the brake, and start the braking process. So then we had the total required sight distance based on our calculations, looked at the difference between what's available, what's required, and we've identified a range between, when you have a queue present of between 360 and 560 feet, you're just slightly under the standard. So you're not quite meeting the needs that are out there. And that's kind of bottom line. It's close, but it's not quite there.
Now, we did meet with TxDOT on this, did we not?
We've had several meetings.
And that was acknowledged, and they are going back, and that was what, maybe 2 weeks ago?
That sounds right, yes.
And they acknowledged that they need to go back and study that and see what can be achieved. And presently, when the former slide you saw had a -6% grade, that was.
Sorry, Mayor. Will, can you, so I can get the graphic up for the mayor? This will help. Still up? Well, just control it quick. There we go.
Right there. So if you look, you'll see a -6% grade. Here's 156. Here's the very peak of the bridge over the tracks. A subsequent design was performed, and that is what Lee Engineering analyzed. And they were able to decrease the -6 to a -5.6 and some other,
Yeah, 5 point something. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And they did that by raising FM 156 5.5 feet. Now, they're going to look further. How much higher would they have to raise 156 to gain those extra 13 feet that they would need to establish criteria required sight braking distance? So they are coming back to us. We have not got that yet, but they will be coming back to us on that.
May I ask 2 quick questions?
Yes.
Absolutely. Sorry, did I jump in front of you? No. Okay. Has it been looked at not just raising the intersection, but maybe jogging 156 a little east to give it a little further landing? And then the second question is, if and when they build the bridge, would there be a way that they could maybe put a signal at the top that would warn people, hey, the light at the far bottom is red already? Because, for example, there's a road, when 156 goes up towards Justin, it curves under a railroad track, and there's a light that you can't see, and they've got a light over here that says, hey, it's already green, or hey, it's already red, and you get this warning. Yeah. So is there a way that we could do something like that as well? Like, is that another option as well?
Yeah, I mean, all things like that are possible, and when you have a problem, a sight distance problem, putting a sign of some sort is a remedy to it. When you're designing a roadway, you prefer to not design in a sight distance problem.
Let me say this, is that it's like a contractor. You're not going to dictate the means and methods. We're not dictating to TxDOT how to design this thing. We're just, okay, once they produce something, we look at it also. Okay, we see this, and if they acknowledge, yeah, that if there's something there we need to look at, whether they would move the road out or anything, or move, raise the highway, or whatever they may do, that's their prerogative.
lower the railroad track. There's lots of very expensive ways of fixing it.
Yeah, I think they ought to take the railroad track and build a bridge over to Aendale, Haslet.
There you go.
But trains don't like to go uphill, do they?
They do not like that.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
If with all the studies and, designs and everything, this bridge just seems to be too steep and safe, and all, having to raise 156, that's just going to cost too much, just be a big hassle. Has there been thoughts or design of taking the bridge over 156, over Schoolhouse Road, and then connecting at grade to or almost to grade where the other things?
That sounds like a fantastic
Okay,
segue.
hold on.
Right there.
Before you
Love
answer that,
That's a great
next.
segue.
Love it.
I'm gonna interrupt the segue. So on that letter previously was September 7th. I'm just make sure I have my dates correct. So the original 60% then we did the study, and that information the letter was for the new design.
The letter is,
The September 7th date. I was wondering of what was just presented. If you
yes,
go back
that
one.
was a summary of work we had done when looking at the 60% design plans, which were produced in April, I think.
Okay, I was just talking my timeline. So
Yeah.
that was information for the new design to bridge? Or okay. The new, okay.
Anything else for Mr. Short? Needs to get back over to LBJ.
I saw my exit with the segue there, so yeah.
All right, so Jody, thank you very much. Heddle, thank you very much.
He's got
Heddle's
more
got
work
the
to do.
stage now.
Don't send him home yet.
Thank you very much.
So where we are at this point with this bridge, how do we keep that project moving forward? What are the next steps?
Well, we're going to show the next option, and
Okay.
we'll explain. So this is one of two options. Well, there's four. You keep it at grade. See, the presently approved design, what's approved right now to build, is all at grade. That's what was funded, I think, back in 2019. So, and it's not until 21 did we start talking about implementing a bridge into this. So, very good. Please go on.
So, great segue. We did look at, can we just span this all? And what I mean by that is, can we get over Schoolhouse 156 and come back to grade east of Schoolhouse Road? So we put together a rudimentary plan and profile here to show that we could gain access or adequate clearance above the railroad tracks and FM 156. Yes, sir.
Tell them who we is.
Who's we?
There's different parties involved here.
Well, we, myself.
City engineer.
Yes, sir, and in the office. And then what we ran into was some of the same issues that TxDOT was having. You'll notice we had this jog out here north of the intersection where we were trying to get back down to the grade that currently exists today on FM 156. And one of the issues that we were having with this was its impacts to adjacent developments and developable property. And so we said, well, I'm not really a bridge guy, but we know some bridge guys. So we asked Kimley Horn to take our concept here and massage it. And they did. And Carl, why don't you come on up and introduce yourself and walk everybody through what you and your team has put together for us here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Carl Dezee with Kimley Horn Associates, 801 Cherry Street, Fort Worth, Texas. What you see in front of you or up on the screen, is our concept that we came up with in order to fly over Schoolhouse, FM 156, and the railroad. So if I start from my right, next to Schoolhouse Road, what we tried to do is pinch the roads together to minimize the bridge costs. And we have a bridge flying over Schoolhouse, and then we break off from there, and we have ramps going down on 156 in order to give the connection from Avondale Haslet directly to 156 is which one of the criteria TxDOT has. Then we continue that bridge flying over FM 156, and it's a 4-lane sort of divided section that carries across the railroad, eventually lands and goes all the way down to John Day Road. The challenge is really with 156 and the slopes, which all these projects are all going to have that concern of slopes coming off the ramps. So what we ended up doing is pulling the ramps off to the side of the bridge and having them fly over the railroad as well. And then in order to give access to the property on the south side between BNSF and 156, we have a turnaround, which is one of the options Mike Anderson and his team pulled together as well. That gives the driveway access directly not off the ramp, and so that helps give them a safer connection. The other connections wouldn't meet TxDOT criteria. So we came up with that design. We made 156 equal what's in the plans today at the at-grade crossing, which is 2 through lanes and a dedicated left turn lane. We added some turnarounds underneath 156 as well to help traffic flow through there. So I meant to describe at the beginning, everything in tan is an at-grade road, everything in green is a bridge, and the purple is the shared use path. So one of the things we needed to address is how do we get the shared use path from all the way across this corridor, and one of the main challenges is flying over the bridge. We came up with one concept that meeting with Mike and the mayor was probably not the best option. So we have the mayor's talking about a current route on John Day Road that goes on the left side of the screen. The purple route that's already been approved by the city is a shared use path that goes to the north. We can tie that into 156. Again, then we have the shared use path going through the intersection 156 and Avondale Haslet. And then going on the south side of the road between 156 and Schoolhouse Road would be an at-grade sidewalk or shared use path that could extend back to Schoolhouse and then tie into Avondale Haslet as it is today. We would obviously have to ramp those down from up on the top of the hill to get down, so that configuration may change a little bit there on the very right side of the screen. And again, the shared use path can continue north on Schoolhouse Road as well. The lines in orange are to have access to driveways that are for the gas well sites and the city's elevated tank. So we've shown those in. Those are things that can vary the location, but in general, we still need to tie those driveways in and provide access to those facilities or those properties. So with that, do y'all have any questions for me on what this looks like?
What are the grades on this bridge?
So the grades on this bridge would be a little around 5% in order to get down from the ramps down to FM 156. The profile that the main lanes would be very similar to the one Mr. Anderson showed on his previous slides. The elevated road would just
And they're about 2.5.
Right, they would gradually cross all the way across to.
And that's a standard ramp
Yeah.
that you encounter.
So on the small bridge version, it's a 6% grade.
Correct.
On these off ramps, is it still a 6% grade?
We'll have probably a 5% grade when we get done tweaking them in order to, it's going to take a lot more study to come up with a final design on that, but
Right.
It's going to be less than the 6% that TxDOT has come up with. But we will probably have to do some adjustments to 156 in order to accommodate that.
How do y'all get to 5% if they're at 6?
So the grades there can be a little bit steeper just because we're going with a single lane, and honestly, I'll have to visit with my roadway guys in order to come up with that answer for you. I apologize for not having that directly, but we did look at that specifically.
So if I'm going north on 156 and I'm trying to take my kids to school, I turn left and I get on an on-ramp that then takes me up into the air to get on the bridge to then get over the railroad tracks, right?
Correct.
And then I come down just short of John Day.
Correct. You would merge in with the ramp coming off the Avondale Haslet Road once you crossed over the railroad tracks. So
Okay.
you would be on a frontage road, if you will,
Right.
concept, in order to fly over that spot.
And if I'm coming home on this road and I want to turn south on 156, I come off a single off-ramp
Correct.
to get me down to 156.
Correct.
But you're saying that is at a 5% grade and the small bridge is at a 6% grade.
Correct. We can work out those details when we get into it. Again, it's going to be a very challenging intersection to design.
Does this show that 156 is jogged to the east?
It does not. On the north side, there isn't a whole lot of space to jog it to the east. On the south side, there's...
Because of that doctor's office there?
Yeah, and the proposed development that's currently being considered by the city. So you may be able to slide FM 156 over. There is a little bit of right of way on the east side that you could move the road over, probably 10 to 15 feet. It'll gain you some space, but again, it's going to be a challenge in order to get all that.
The tan right now that you see, 156, that's a TxDOT roadway, all owned by TxDOT, and the right-of-way associated with it. To move it left or right, well, left is not an option, is you have all these buildings. I don't think TxDOT would buy all that out. And also there's private property to the east, screen east here. So it, again, but it's TxDOT's prerogative we don't tell them how to do it or anything of that nature. But yes, these off-ramps may be similar in grade as to that one bridge that we showed previously, but the primary lanes through here are at 2.5, 2.6, and that does a huge amount for mobility in this entire region. This is yes, it is a Haslet-owned project, but the entire grant and the concept was to connect I-35 all the way out to 287. And so this was Haslet's piece and participation of it. And then Fort Worth picks up at our western city limits and goes to 287 with it. Now, all of that from 35 down to 287 is for 4 lanes divided, except for this immediate area in our industrial area, which will be 6, but for the regional mobility, this elevated throughput with just a 2.6% grade is a huge accomplishment.
Mayor Holsey?
Yes.
In consideration of the 2 different designs that's here, in regard to TxDOT, since they're funding this project, I'm aware that they're willing to fund the first option of the bridge, which was the 6% grade coming down. Where does TxDOT land on funding this version of the bridge, which would be extensively more expensive than
we are not,
that one?
Yes, very good question. Show me the money. TxDOT would not be funding this. Is that, and I have, in conjunction with the transportation director of North Central Texas Council of Governments, I've been in conversation, and in fact, it's Mr. Mills' boss, is that there was a Senate bill called Senate Bill 1555 that was passed in this 89th legislature. And what that Senate bill did was allot $250 million to build off-system grade separations. And to show you, I'll say, for a while ago, I was saying, recognize who we are and where we are, and it was mentioned that we are one of the most unique cities in the state with this, where we are. Haslet, Texas was used in front of the House to advocate for that bill passage, and because it is a very unique situation. And so, bottom line, where would the money come from? I have asked that possibly for North Central Texas Council of Governments consider, because that's where the $16 million came from. Consider. Now, there would be a 10% matching on this. Well, this project is $85 million. All right, estimate. Hopefully it can come in a lot less than that. But nonetheless, is that in this initial conversation, I haven't got a yes or no. We're in the very beginnings of this conversation. Is would it be considered that we use a portion of that 16 million as the 10% matching? And that would be 8.5 million? And that would leave COGS 7.5 million to go spend somewhere else. And the state make up the rest of this.
So this is a appropriations we'd have to apply for in order to
Yes.
get funding?
The Transportation Commission, this was a new bill. They were tasked with, okay, you've got to develop an application and the criteria for this, and it is to be released August 1st. At least they're scheduled.
2026, August 1st of 2026, or correct? Yeah, 2026.
Excuse me, October 1st, 2025. Here in just a few weeks.
2025.
Yes.
So we will know October 1st whether we qualify for the
No, we
appropriations?
get to apply.
We get to
apply at that
apply in October, and then we'll know when, if we,
Be months later, I'm sure.
but I
That's-
mean, within a year, not like years later, it'll be months later. I'm just,
We're all looking at Jeff. Hey, Mr. Jeff.
Hi, everybody. Jeff Neal from NCT COG once again. Though, unfortunately, those details in terms of like when will applications be due, when will they be selected, and information like that, I'm hoping that those details will be provided when basically the notice of the opportunity is released in a way very similar to the way that it's done on the federal level. So hopefully some of those details will be included when we learn more about this information on October 1st. If not, I would suspect we'll know more, hopefully as soon as possible afterward.
So the good thing is the Transportation Commission and the House Transportation Committee and all those folks know the name of Haslet, Texas, and our very unique need and how important it is for mobility in this area. So we have a good chance.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a quick question. If we're looking at Avondale Haslet as the major east-west corridor, there's a good possibility it would need to be 6 lanes at some point. Is that true?
COG has
whole
done all
road.
that analysis. They do the
So-
regional layout, and Jeff might be able to speak with that, but everything I've seen is 4.
You don't think it would ever need to go? My question is, I'd hate to build a 4-lane bridge, and then someday we need 6, and now we're stuck with the 4 lanes.
Well,
You know,
that
could we
plan
build a
that-
6 and just stripe it for 4
The plan.
and already have the concrete there, you know?
The plan is based on 2045.
2045 demographics and then the traffic that would result from that. We now have, or at least the Regional Transportation Council back in June, approved an update, I beg your pardon, excuse me, the Mobility 2050 plan. So that is using 2050 demographics and the resulting traffic from that. From my recollection, and I can certainly verify this for the council, is we're indicating 4 lanes for Avondale Haslet Road, 287 over to FM 156, with at that point the ability to expand to 6 lanes from 156 to 35W.
Okay.
And that's still based off of future traffic that's been projected on those routes.
Okay. The one question we haven't heard, or answer we haven't heard yet is, what is the difference in the timeline between building the small bridge versus this bridge?
I can tell, I can say this is that, well, construction time, it'd probably be faster to build smaller anything, a shorter road or shorter bridge. But is that all parties involved, I know that COG, as TxDOT, other entities, will look at this with a very discerning eye. What is the best thing to do? Not what can be built fastest.
I'm not trying to get the fastest. I just would like to know what the difference of the timelines would be if we have any
We
idea.
don't know that yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, those are, right now, we're on the front end of all this business.
I think we might have
Both
an
the
audience.
short bridge as well as the long bridge.
I think we might have an audience question.
Yeah.
And then just to add, obviously, when the information comes out about the call for projects associated with the bill, and learning more about the timelines associated, that gets entered into the estimate that hopefully we'll be able to identify here soon, so that you can see the differences between one approach with the shorter bridge and the longer approach.
Very good. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's green now. Okay, on the previous picture or drawing scale, whatever, where they were showing 156, does that allow for 156 to be widened in that rendition? Does that allow any widening? And would the stoplight still go under that? Because I mean, I assume 156, there's no way that the 2050 plan is gonna have it stay looking like this, I would assume.
Yes, within the TxDOT right-of-way that they have and have designated in the past.
So, I guess let me go back to my first question then. Does this rendering allow for 156 to be widened?
Shows 3 lanes right there each way.
But I see it's drawn that way, but will it allow for it? Like we're trying to plan for allowing Haslet Parkway to
Well, understand,
expand?
that's TxDOT would give us feedback on that, but none of this, the red lines you see on the perimeter, the red dash lines, those
Right.
are all TxDOT right-of-way lines.
Okay.
So that is land that they own for widening the roadways.
Right, so I guess I'm not asking right now who's responsible for widening it. I just want to know if this bridge is what we apply for in October, if this bridge is one that will allow, a design that would allow for 156 to potentially be widened.
Yes.
To me, that's a yes. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Currently, right now, 156 is one lane right there, so now we're getting 2, so that would be.
So understand, everybody, please, this is conceptual. It's all conceptual, but it's a very good conceptual, and based on the ultimate, as far as east-west throughput. Nonetheless, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir. We're right at halfway through, folks. Mike. We're halfway through. Blue Mound Road. All right, it's Hellbat's turn.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Hazelbert from Lee Engineering, 1660 LBJ Freeway, Dallas, Texas. So this is a Blue Mound Road study that city asked us to perform, and the objective of this study is like in future when platted development and some unplatted vacant parcels develop, what do we want for Blue Mound Road? Do we want a thoroughfare that provides fast and efficient connection between 87 and 35? Or do we want a street that primarily serves Haslet traffic and no cut-through traffic happens between, or I shouldn't say no cut-through traffic, but little cut-through traffic happens between 87 and 35. So here's the study area. We studied Blue Mound Road between John Day Road and Harmon Road. And that hollow circle you see over there, that's a Sweetgrass Boulevard, is still under construction. So that intersection should be studied at later stage. But what we tried to do with this is try to develop the cross-section and what improvement by 2033, that was the built-out year of this project, what intersection improvements we would need.
And I want to interject with just one thing real quick. If you recall, we were asked to put together a cost estimate to build Blue Mound Road from one end to the other. Back, I think that was last year. And I don't even remember what the number was, 50 million, 55 million. Then the mayor said, well, what if you just made it 3 lanes? And it was 36 million or something. And so we said, okay, somewhere between 3-lane and 4-lane divided, those were our 2 alternatives, is the right answer. The decision that needs to be made by the city moving forward is, are you trying to promote another east-west thoroughfare? Are you trying to maintain this as a neighborhood collector style street? And the study, and what we're about to get into with Heddle's presentation, was to focus on how best to improve the operational efficiency of these intersections while providing recommendations on the cross-section, both in the interim and the ultimate condition. Now, the city's thoroughfare plan calls out Blue Mound Road to have a right-of-way from 100 to 110 feet, somewhere in that range. That's what it says. 4 lanes? Well, it can accommodate 4 lanes, yes, sir. But it could also accommodate 3 lanes and have wider parkways for what Fort Worth and others like to call complete streets, right? Those terms, those are all things, right? We've also got coordination with our partners at Fort Worth as far as major utility service through here. We've got planned water lines that need to come through, because if Fort Worth doesn't have water, we don't have water. So there's a myriad of things that are going to go into this. But the first thing we needed to do was hire these folks to come through and crunch the numbers and say, how much traffic's here right now? How much is going to come due to this new development? And so if we go do some intersection improvements, we're spending our money wisely. So I'm sorry, I was supposed to do that before you started.
No problem.
And I didn't.
Actually, you gave me a good segue, so.
There you go.
Go ahead.
When did you do these studies? This is a traffic study?
Yes, this is a traffic study. We started this study at the end of 2024.
Okay.
And like we all know, Haslet is growing at a faster pace. So we submitted this study in the, at least, like initial finding in the summer of 25. And then we updated this study a couple of times based on new information came in.
Does it project into the future?
Yes, sir.
Are you taking into account the new high school?
Yes, sir.
High school?
The one by Cabela's, not the middle
Yes.
school that's there, okay.
Sorry. no,
Because
that
this road is going to become a much more traveled road once that high school opens. Because
What high
everybody-
school are you speaking of?
The new high school that Northwest ISD is opening on the other side of 35. Like over by Cabela's. Because there have been rumors about where the zone is going to be for that high school, and it could be as far west as 287, which means everybody that lives this side of 287 every morning is going to be using Blue Mound mostly to get to that high school, because Haslet Parkway is too far north and Westport's way too far north, so they're all going to go on this road every morning. And there's a new elementary school that's going to be built right outside of Caraway, which is also going to add a whole bunch of traffic going up and down this road. So I don't know if you've taken that part into account, but it greatly impacts the need of this road in the very near future, because the high school is supposed to open in 2 years. The elementary school hasn't started yet, but it's coming soon. So it's going to make a big difference. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. But they've only got the high school coming now, though. Oh, okay. Okay. So it's gonna hugely impact the traffic on this road.
Yes, and the study was initially based on the information available at the end of 2024. So we have updated it as new information has came in, but I haven't factored in any traffic from high school toward the western end of the town.
Yeah, because I
Now-
mean, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So before we go to the further slide, I'll just give you a brief overview what we did with this project. So we collected existing count, and when I say existed, I meant December of 2024 when schools were in session. And then we our built out year is 2033, which is essentially a benchmark year where the platted site would be built, and we would assume that other vacant parcel would be built just for the modeling purposes. So 2033 is the built out year. We grew that traffic at 2% rate, and we will see why we selected 2%. That is just the background growth. Then we overlaid that background growth with the platted site traffic, and we developed the built out condition traffic. We analyze how the links would perform, the roadway links, how they would perform with that traffic load, and what should be the cross section. And then at every intersection, based on the information available at this time and our engineering judgment, we develop the turning movements, and based on that, what should be the intersection improvements. So Mike, with that, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yeah, and I just want to preface one thing, Mr. Crothers, like the information that we were able to pull from Fort Worth as far as proposed developments, as well as the two school sites located generally at Harmon and Blue Mound, those were all taken into account. And you'll see those as part of this analysis. The school site on the other side of 35, I had no idea that there was one over there. The school...
It's going to be a huge impact.
Yeah, and they didn't... We haven't, unless somebody's got something from the ISD, they haven't come to us and said, hey, we're getting ready to build a big school over here.
They've already broken ground. It's opening in 2 years.
Chris, when we get that information from them, from when that boundary is, then we can take that into account. But also with the, in La Terra, where we have the elementary, and on the west side of John Day Road, on the east side of John Day Road, we have Worthington Middle School, but also they purchased property and there will be a high school going there.
Right.
And so we're getting their timeline. When do they anticipate building that high school? And so there's a lot of, those two things are still in play.
Sure.
And
but we know this one's coming
NISD is
now.
still trying to figure that out.
But we know that my son is going to probably go to this new high school in 2 years.
Well,
From my understanding, when Tim was there for Northwest ISD, that high school area on John Day Road, Blue Mound, was in play, but they decided to build it on the other side of 35.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be building that one there.
Correct.
They have that plan, but they are not building that high school there.
It wouldn't make sense to put one there when you have two here and then put another one in the middle. That doesn't make sense.
but we'll be able to get, when they have that boundary defined, then we can incorporate that.
The zoning should be on the ISD map probably next year. They'll start showing the zoning, how they're breaking it apart. We'll start designing it. But the one on Blue Mound at John Day is not in place.
And then that opens the door, who are our funding partners, since this is a regional issue.
Well, that's what I look at here, and looking at this, because it really needs to be flipped to a regional issue now, because I think, TxDOT, City of Haslet, City of Fort Worth, everybody's known for 20 years. The big issue from North Loop 820 to 114 is the east-west thoroughfares, the lack of. That's a given. And we're getting plans now, we're getting more concrete with Aendale Haslet. Okay, that's a start. But this Blue Mound, okay, we're going to move people real fast from 156 to the railroad tracks. And then we're going to stop, because right now, if you go down Blue Mound in the morning and come back in the evening, the school traffic going to Eaton is somewhere between terrible and horrendous. I mean, you can't get to 287. And then you got the railroad tracks where just this past Saturday, I'm headed out to run errands, and around 9 o'clock in the morning, fire station gets a call, so I get in behind the fire truck, traffic on Blue Mound going west, and the trains are running. I hope the guy didn't have a heart attack, but the fire truck was literally sitting at the intersection right there for probably a good 10 minutes waiting for the trains to cross. So we've got to get partnered. I mean, it's another COGS, it's a Tarrant County, it's a Fort Worth. This thing's got to run farther west than just the Haslet city limits. It's got to be another regional planned road. That's the way I think it needs to be looked at. Yep. Because if we do a piece You know, it's like, how fast can you move people for a couple miles and then they're stopped? And nobody's going to be happy with that.
And there are, please continue, and there are other pieces, some, I'll say, selected improvements with regard to Blue Mound Road to help improve that throughput. And, but please go ahead and we'll get to that piece. So ultimately, can you get, what is this road with your multi-year projection? What does that road need to be?
So that's the objective, and we would present the analysis to the council, but ultimately that is the decision based on, like council's deliberation. If you want a roadway that provides connectivity from 87 and 30, between 87 and 35, I think 4-lane divided is your answer. If you do not want that traffic.
No, now one of the desires is, I mean, if you took Blue Mound Road and ran it to I-35, so that's not the objective, that would turn into another Haslet Parkway. And we have almost half our population lives on Blue Mound Road. It is a residential collector for all effects. Now, there are a ton across through here, but and then we'll have a elementary school right there. So as you see it now, there was no vision for I-35 to 287. I don't know where that came from.
So if we want a roadway that would serve as a collector, then we should start with 3-lane cross-section, which is 1 lane in each direction and 2-way left-hand lane in the middle. So what you see on your screen is the existing condition. Essentially, it's a 2-lane undivided roadway, 40 miles per hour speed limit west of 156, 30 miles per hour east of 156. And like Mike said, it is classified as 4-lane divided west of 156 and 3-lane east of 156. Next slide, please, Mike. And we are getting into volume projections, and assume built out is 2033. These are our daily counts. What we see on our screen, we collected 24 hours turning movement count at all these intersections. Next slide, please. Go ahead.
Before you leave this, for the benefit of those who are looking at that, they might not study this kind of stuff every day. So let's take, I'm looking at 777. Is that 777 vehicles per day, per hour? What is that number?
This graphic is 24 hours, so per day. Next graphic would be per peak hour, AM and PM peak hour.
So as you can see along Blue Mound Road, depending on from what intersection going to what intersection, that traffic volume varies.
Correct. So in this graphic, what we see is, if you look at the link between John Day and FM 156, in the morning, we have about 400 vehicle traveling eastbound and about 300 vehicle traveling westbound. A 2-lane undivided roadway of Blue Mound Road classification has capacity to carry 175 vehicles during a peak hour in peak direction. So we are about at 50% capacity under the existing condition as of September of 2024. Next slide, please, Mike.
Can I ask you, sorry.
Please, go ahead.
Did you just say the Blue Mound is at 50% capacity?
Yes, if you look at that. So it's carrying, I said approximately 50%. It is carrying 400 vehicles eastbound. If you look at the link between John Day Road and 156,
right,
it has 400 vehicles going eastbound direction during AM peak hour and about 300 vehicles going in westbound direction in PM peak hour.
Well, also in PM, westbound, you only have 230 cars?
That is AM westbound. Oh, sorry, where do you say 230?
Because
That's bit, sorry, go ahead.
PM westbound, I don't know if that number is correct or not, but PM westbound, that road backs up all the way up the hill.
That's 403 vehicles. Bottom graphic, westbound between 156.
403, okay.
Yes.
Because it backs up all the way past the hill. And it takes you almost 30 minutes to get through there just to get to 156 at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
And that would be they have a different analysis, and they'll call it
intersection
A, B, C, intersection performance.
Okay.
But
Right
that's
now, I
taken-
give it an F.
It's an F.
Or if there's anything worse than an F, I'd give it that.
So these are the existing traffic volumes. Next slide, please. These are the planned development we analyzed, and if you look at those two little area highlighted with blue sign on the east side, that development is pretty much built. It's a caraway. But what we did is we took the empty parcels, we made some assumptions, and we projected the traffic volume and the trip generation potential from remaining land available over there. So on the table that is shown on the bottom left side, that shows the estimated number of trips that this development would produce.
And I want to interrupt just real quick here for everybody's edification. Nance and LaPrelle, those are developments in Fort Worth. They're not subject to platting through the city of Haslet, and therefore they're not required to, unless we get in agreement with those folks, to offset their impacts to the roadway network, right? We were successful in developing a agreement with the LaPrelle developers, whereby they will cost contribute and partner with the city in Haslet to improve intersections located at John Day Road and FM 156. But there's no requirement for them to do so. They're developments in Fort Worth. We don't even know about them unless we just happen to find out about them, right? So there's no requirement for Fort Worth to say, hey, by the way, there's going to be 15,000 people moving in over the next 5 years here. You guys better get your roads ready for them. I just want to point that out. But we have to take that into account. And so that's one of the challenges that we're faced with.
So moving forward, these are the additional vacant parcels which are not platted yet. So the yellow parcel are medium density residential development. That's what we have assumed based on current zoning. And 2 units per acres, it's roughly about 100 homes. Red parcels are commercial, assuming 20% floor area ratio. North parcel is 110 acres, about 960 square foot of commercial, and southern parcel is about 435 square foot of commercial. This is the growth rate that I was talking about. We looked at various station and data collection location provided by TxDOT. We evaluated these numbers, and we selected data provided by the station on north of Blue Mound Road on 156, because that has more continuity in data, and thus it is a bit more reliable. That's where we selected 2% growth rate. And as you see forward, just by 2% growth rate, we are projecting a lot of traffic. So 2% growth rate is not a lot, based on which Haslet is growing. Compared to that, 2% is not a lot of background traffic growth rate. So these are kind of conservative estimates over here. So this graphic shows the projected 2033 volume with only platted site. The key numbers that I want your attention drawn to is in AM peak hour, we are seeing approximately 200% growth, that is traffic doubling between 2024 and 2033. And in PM peak hour, it is at 235%. In next graphic, we will see in in this graphic, we see that if we add those vacant parcels which are not platted yet, we are projecting about 210% growth in AMP car and 285% growth in PMP car. Next slide, please. This is the Northwest ISD school site that we have factored in. And if you look at this graphic, under the existing condition, Harmon Road is staying into the Blue Mound Road. And if you look at the proposed graphic, Blue Mound Road is staying into Harmon Road. So when we updated this study based on this information, we assumed 600 student capacity that would replace about 1,700 square feet office development in Caraway development, and about 1,200 student middle school that would replace 31 acres of northern commercial parcel. So these are the two schools we factored in this study. Next slide, please. And this is the assumed directional distribution for schools. And on the right side, we are showing the updated 2023 traffic volume projection. Please note that these are very initial numbers, and we recommend that for these two school sites, a separate traffic impact analysis should be performed. Next slide, please. So with this, we saw the roadway and intersection volume projections. Using those numbers, we try to come up with the cross-section of Blue Mound Road. Next slide, please. So this graphic shows the daily volume, both direction, and those lines shows the capacity of each type of roadway. So if we go from those bars, left to right, blue bar and orange bar shows your existing counts. East of 156 is orange, and west of 156 is blue. As we see that just with the 2% growth rate, the traffic is such that it could be handled by, at least in theory, it could be handled by two-lane undivided roadway. But as soon as we superimpose the platted side traffic, we are getting close to, we are certainly above two-lane undivided roadway, and we are getting very close to three-lane cross-section of Blue Mound Road. And when we add all sides,
sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Is this current volume that you're looking at here?
Current volumes are on the far left side.
Far
existing.
left. Okay. And then BG growth is what?
Background growth, that 2% growth rate that I discussed.
Okay, so then that looks at what year? What is this?
2033.
The far right is 2033?
So from BG growth rate, everything is in 2033. But BG growth rate does not include any platted site. The third two columns, the third set of columns, takes BG growth rate plus traffic from platted site. And the far right two columns shows BG growth rate plus all sites.
So we're looking at, if you only have a 3-lane road, we can't cover all the traffic by 2033. That's what this graph shows. Ish.
If you just look at these numbers, yes. But the underlying assumption, and I don't know at this point how the future would pan out, but if traffic is there, people would seek alternate route. That means that 2% growth rate may not actualize. And if we put 4-lane, then there are more people seek that route, and the 2% growth rate might be 3% or 4%. So,
and and the impact of Haslet Parkway could drastically change these numbers. They very well could be. So, It's a very dynamic place to be in the state of Texas right here.
Should we proceed to next slide?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah. So now we are getting into the recommended configurations. If you look at the left side, and if we assume 4-lane divided roadway, and numbers associated with that, and right side 3-lane divided roadway and numbers associated with this. If you could go to the next slide. So these are the example cross section. The good news over here, like Mike said, that we do have right of way. Thoroughfare plan identifies right of way between 100 feet to 110 feet. So we can, in 110 feet, we can fit both types of cross section. 3-lane cross section or 4-lane divided cross section, both can be fit in. So with this number, we should start with 3-lane undivided or 3-lane cross section with two-way left-hand lane in the middle. Next, please. So now we are getting into intersection improvements. So we performed intersection capacity analysis, and I won't get into details of intersection capacity analysis, but under the existing condition, John Day Road is 2-lane undivided roadway. It has two-way stop control. It is a two-way stop control intersection, and in terms of auxiliary lane, it has eastbound left-turn and westbound left-turn lane. We recommend it should be signalized, and well, FM 156 and Blue Mound Road, we are saying that there should be 4 through lanes, and there's a whole list of auxiliary lanes. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
And if you would go back to that, well, you don't need to go back. So John Day Road and Blue Mound Road, let me address that right now. There's an absolute current need right now. Absolutely. We know that. Yes. And we have known that for a couple of years. And it's been about that long we've been working now between the railroad tracks and the John Day Road. The county owns that. Otherwise, we would have made that at least a 4-way stop, because I know that people that go in and out of, John Day Road to Blue Mound, and they take their children to school, either to the elementary or the middle school, and they got a longer wait on John Day Road than what they do on Blue Mound. And then they got oncoming traffic that's not very courteous at all to slow down and let them on that road. And it is very dangerous right now. I get several emails a week at least.
Incredibly
and
dangerous.
So David Rogers is working with a landman over in Tarrant County that going back into historical records, there might be some sliver out there that there is some prescriptive right-of-way out there. And if that's the case, but we're working with the county engineer you need a stop sign out. You need 4-way stops out there. That's the only thing holding us back. But it is a dangerous situation. Nonetheless, did I say it was a dangerous situation? All right then, thank you.
So then we come to Maxwell Road. If we want to keep traffic moving, currently it is multi-way stop control, all-way stop control. To keep traffic moving, we recommend 2-way stop control. Now, city may not like moving from all-way stop control to 2-way stop control because sometimes it goes against driver's expectancy. So in that case, installation of traffic signal could be considered, and for that, we may need to perform traffic signal warrant analysis, and when such warrants are met and traffic signal is recommended, we can move to the traffic signal. And multi-way stop control or all-way stop control is a precursor sometimes it is a precursor of traffic signal. So Maxwell Road on the east side It's a two-way stop control. We recommend keep it as two-way stop control. The only change we recommend over there is adding a eastbound left-hand lane. Next slide, please. Intermodal Parkway. It's currently all-way stop control, two-lane undivided. We say that keep one lane in each direction, but from multi-way stop control, it should be a signalized intersection. And as you can see in the graphic with red arrows or in the table with list, we are recommending 4 auxiliary lanes. Next slide, please. Harmon Road. This is the newer configuration of the intersection. Like I said earlier, with this plan, Blue Mound Road is going to tee into Harmon Road, and the recommended improvement over there is signalization, reconfiguration, dual eastbound left-hand lane, eastbound right-hand lane, northbound left or dual northbound left-hand lane, and southbound right-hand lane. This analysis was based on reconfigured intersection with Harmon Road, and at this point, Blue Mound Road was considered a minor street and Harmon Road was considered as a major street for this particular analysis. So, thank you. Any questions?
Y'all did a very good job, and it takes quite a while to accumulate all this kind of data, to bring it and then to analyze it and give a projection like that. I do want to make mention, you know, Heddle showed, I think he had a 3-lane design and a 4-lane divided design, correct? And if you remember about a year and a half ago, it took us about, I don't know, it took, well, not us being Mike Anderson and company, about, and I believe, yeah, maybe 6 months to work through this whole thing and come up, because it was just, we want 4 lanes on Blue Mound Road. Okay, all right, fine. So he went through and developed a whole set of plans, costed it all out, taking into account, here's all the additional right-of-way that we have to purchase and all the utilities that had to be relocated, and then the construction of the road. And if you recall, that was the $55 million. That was 2 years ago. And that was the one I asked, okay, put it on the ballot and let the people decide. But understand this, we will have to double our property tax just to pay for that bond. That's a huge expense. And yes, we worked and we looked at this, we look at this stuff have constantly, but and those are regional impacts on Haslet, Texas. And so we appreciate all our partners, but we do know that people like North Central Texas Council of Governments, people like Jeff Neal, they're always looking at all of this, all throughout, and it's a 16-county area. 16 counties. And this is one small piece of Tarrant County. So you got a big job, Jeff.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate all the work that's been done. I mean, clearly we can't afford the $55 million, so it's going to have to be a regional partnership. We're going to have to work with our friends to develop it.
Constantly are.
You know, the talking about putting it on the ballot, I think, is a moot point at this point. I think we just need to look at, you know, creative solutions to find ways that we can work with our partners and be a good partner ourselves and get these mobility solutions done for our citizens. Because, I mean, you are, clearly you know, because you put this together tonight, how important this is. So I'm really looking forward to us doing that.
Very good. And we're not finished. Tell us about Blue Mound Road a little bit more.
Well, it's all doom and gloom, right? It's just nothing but money and time, but
it is not doom and gloom. This is really good stuff. There is no doom and gloom here.
Okay.
Well, we need to get away from doom and gloom.
There
are creative solutions to all the things. We just need to be positive about it.
There we go. So with that, that's a good.
I got to say this one thing.
Yes, sir.
In psychology, one of the things they have is called acceptance therapy. The first thing to do, how to deal with something, you got to accept it. This is part of it. Acknowledging what is the problems. And I do appreciate all of the team, our firms and consultants and staff that work together to consolidate this. Here's what we see regionally, and then actually get down into the weeds on the solutions. Very good job, but please continue.
Mr. Mayor, could I just ask one favor? Instead of problems, can we say challenges or opportunities, or, because I think if we start saying problems, it sets us up to, and I think we've got friends that are willing to step in, and I lost my, I think we have friends that are willing to be a part of the solution. I think, and I think if we continue working with everybody, if we get a positive mindset about this and say we can do it and we can reach out and we can be a part of, I think that completely changes the script.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and that's what we've done and continue to do. And we got a number of projects that have been accomplished and are finishing up that was all due to the partners. And there's more partners besides what's sitting out here. And I say problems, I recall in engineering school, I had problems on a test, not challenges. It's just a carryover. I don't mean it in any negative connotation. It's just acknowledging, here, this is what this needs and what can we do? This is the beginning.
Well, here's one possible solution for Blue Mound and John Day. And the good news on this one is we've got a couple of partners that we've already visited with about this. And so I want to show you what we've concepted here on John Day and Blue Mound. So what we've done is we've worked and taken all the numbers and everything that Heddle and his folks have crunched. We've worked, and we knew that the LaPrelle development over here in Fort Worth had a responsibility to construct a 100-foot turn lane and put in a traffic signal. And that was the result of their study. And studies are as good as the information you put into them. I'll leave it at that. I love traffic engineers and traffic studies, but they're just studies, okay? So we took the LaPrelle study, which was done clear back during COVID, right? And we've tweaked that out, and we figured out, okay, their development, their 927 lots or whatever it is, needed a 100-foot turn lane, but when you take into account the 6,000 other people that are coming in on the Nance tract and the 2% growth and all the things that Heddle went through, you come up with this. This is what we need to build right now. This is the interim configuration of the intersection. The light gray is the existing pavement, and the dark gray is the proposed. And what we're contemplating, and we're hoping we can work out with our Tarrant County partners, is to do a project real similar to what we did up there on Keller Haslet, whereby city goes in, we figure out the right-of-way utilities, get the traffic signal, do all the things that take the time, and then take advantage of Tarrant County forces and their ability to build rural-style hot mix roadways to get us some capacity improvements and some safety improvements out here, while setting ourselves up to ensure that we've got the right-of-way and utilities clearance and the things in the right spots so that that ultimate 4-lane divided concrete roadway can eventually come through there. Now, challenge with this one is we've got a big gas line over there. We don't have right-of-way. We've got 3 jurisdictions we're dealing with. We've got a railroad track. Other than that, it's straightforward, right? So the goal here is you take this and we put together a cost estimate. I want to give somebody, just anybody, one guess at what this costs right here. No, ma'am, just to build it. Yeah, build it through, just to build it. What would you think that would cost?
10 million.
5 million. So there you go. So it's good, right? It's saving money. Now, just to give you an example, though, the 5 million. If we're able to work out and get with the county, and we've talked with the guys doing the work, we visited with the commissioner about this project. That 5 million can go down to about 3.5 million if we could take advantage of the Tarrant County construction forces. Okay? So those are the things that we're trying to do. We're trying to come up with things that we can get done relatively quick, right? The $30 million, the $50 million, you got to find a lot of funding partners for that. This one, we've got a developer who we've got under agreement to construct his portion of this. Now, he can't build it all. That's not roughly proportional to his development, but he has an obligation to cost contribute to this. So now it's okay, where do we find the rest of the money? Get the agreements together, move the utilities, keep the project moving. So there's one. And we just go through and we do a cost estimate for that, right? Just like we try to do with everything else. We try to think all the unknowns. We got money in there, $700,000 for right-of-way. So if we can negotiate with that property owner and say, hey, we're trying to improve the value of your property by getting this roadway in place, would you consider donating? Well, that price tag goes down by $700,000. But if you're asking me right now what's going to take to build it, I got to assume that we got to buy it. Okay? I got to assume that we're going to have to spend. There was a gas line on this one, I thought. Maybe not. No, there was. Where? Okay, there we go. $350,000. I don't know what it's going to cost, but hopefully we don't have to move it. But if you're asking me right now what it's going to cost, it's $5 million. All right, let's get this back up. This is just details here.
And just look at the traffic signal itself.
Sure.
The traffic signal itself, $500,000.
Right. Now, if we do this interim, we may look at, okay, we have to figure out, can we set the ultimate signal where it needs to be, or is it going to be too long and it's 750, and we go with some cable system for the interim, right? There's all different things we can look at once we get into it, but you got to start with a concept. Okay, Blue Mound Road at 156. You know what's out there right now. This is really what needs to be out there. There's 2 through lanes, dedicated right, dedicated left. Now, the challenge for the westbound traffic is we're hemmed in over there at the railroad tracks. To touch that crossing, it's $5 million. This is $5 million right here too. So we didn't really look at that because we're trying to come up with things that we can implement sooner than later to improve the capacity of this intersection. And that's why you see everything neck and down well short of the railroad tracks.
Can you describe what doing this work does in relation to our weight line? What does that do for us? How does that improve life?
So Heddle, oh, he's still here. Okay. Okay, so if we consider level of service, I think that's, one of you mentioned level of service earlier. I think it was with you, Mr. Carruthers. The level of service currently at this intersection, do you recall offhand what that is? C, D?
Below F.
Below F, F minus?
Yeah.
So,
Minus.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I don't know what is the exact later notification of level of service at this intersection, but what I can say, top of my head, is improving from what we have today to what we have recommended, it certainly improves intersection level of service, and it brings it to more palatable level.
And if we gave Heddle a half a day, he could come back with that answer for us. I just put him on the spot right there, just test him out. He did good.
I do want to, if you look at it, if you can see it, you folks out there in the back can't, but let's take, okay, on the Blue Mound Road East, you're headed towards 156, and we got the dedicated right-hand turn lanes and 2 through lanes and dedicated left-hand turn lanes. But that, to help accommodate and to get volume through that traffic signal and to decrease that long line of one lane on 150 or Blue Mound Road, that dedicated right-hand turn lane on Blue Mound that takes you up north on 156 is 400 feet long. That, making sure there's adequate depth there to receive these automobiles.
That's 16 cars.
that would be, each one's a nominal 20 feet. Call it 25 feet, so you're not on touching bumpers. So that would be 4 times, I don't think it'd be 25 cars.
To get there, we've got, I think we need 7 parcels of right-of-way.
16 to 20.
We've got to coordinate with the state on 156. We're not really showing any improvements to 156 because we didn't want to presume anything at this point, right? We're coming up with what we can implement today. We got a traffic signal. We've got utilities that have to be dealt with. The city does have in their upcoming budget $1.8 million allocated to several large diameter water lines that need to be reworked through here just to provide for the needs of the system. You see a 12 that needs to go to a 16. So there's some opportunities there and some things that we're going to have to do just as soon as that project kicks off to figure out where our water lines need to go. We can't afford to put a water line in without knowing what the road's going to look like. So there's things that are going to happen here regardless of whether the road happens right here, because there's nothing in the budget right here for a $5 million intersection, right? There's things we absolutely have to do just to get the water line right that will lend itself towards advancement of the design of this intersection, but there's a lot that has to be done here, right? And so it's nothing that's going to happen overnight. When we visited with the county and they're like, hey, bring us your projects, right? And we're sitting there at the office like, well, when are you trying to get this one done? He's like, we'll be out here in September of next year. And I'm like, probably 2 Septembers from now. Realistically, by the time you get the right of way, you clear the utilities, you get all the permits, you do all the coordination, that's about as soon. Now, once they get out there, it'll go pretty quick. It's the getting them out there that's the hard part on these projects.
Now, we have met with, we're process meeting with our commissioners and posing this and, oh, by the way, Commissioner, this is a regional issue. That traffic of Haslet residents isn't causing this need. And they're receptive. They understand that. And so we are having those ongoing conversations. And they want to do as much as they can for us out here. But they got a big county to take care of. We know that. So we do appreciate our partners. We work with them constantly.
Yeah, go back to that picture, Mike. Yes, so I think even looking at the east-west thoroughfares here, just having a dedicated turn lane, the cross traffic, that lets you wouldn't, may not need 2 dedicated lanes going east and west. If you have that dedicated lane, then you can do more with your signaling to move the traffic, because then you can move east-west at the same time rather than right now one at a time, because you get one person that's wanting to turn left, you bottleneck everything a lot of times. That's what you see. So, just getting the dedicated turn lanes would be a huge improvement with the proper signalization out there.
Well, and I failed to mention on my first exhibit, there was recommendations for a 156 corridor signal timing study that needs to be done in conjunction with the launch of the new signal up here at the new Keller Haslet, and we fully intend to get Heddle and them to put that together for us. And we go tell the state, okay, and I'll get to a slide here in a second that speaks to that a little bit more, but hey, this is what needs to happen with this signal. It can't go functioning the way it is. We need to make some changes.
While you're talking to TxDOT on the north-south side, on the turn lanes, they need to have that flashing yellow instead of a red.
And those are the types of improvements that would come out of that study.
I've found I can turn left on a red light pretty easy.
Pat.
I do. Earlier tonight, we were talking about bridges and stuff, and I was wondering, in between here and John Day, there's a busy railroad track, and Doug mentioned earlier that he got stuck there with the fire truck. Has there been, I don't know if you're coming to this in a minute, but has there ever been any talks about putting a small bridge there to alleviate, I know we're getting one on Aendale Haslet, but to alleviate traffic back up here with, emergency?
We haven't looked into that. There was somebody that was doing some preliminary investigation and records research that was looking into that. I'm not sure who that was. But I think the main issue with the northern crossing is the stacking that occurs in the yard, whereas this one may just be trains passing. You're going to have a real, I don't know the exact dimensions, Mr. Gilbert, but you're going to have a similar issue with grades if you wanted to come back down to 156 here, just because of the proximity, but we have not looked at that. Yes, sir.
On that LaPrelle
John
addition
Day, yeah.
there on the north side, are they going to have any access to, even if it's future development, are they going to have access to Aendale Haslet? Is there any way, and the reason I bring that up is because it's kind of what Gary mentioned earlier. Once we get a solution for Aendale Haslet connector to Haslet Parkway, if you get a bridge over that, you could pull some of this traffic, say out of LaPrelle that's wanting to go east-west. They know there's a bridge up north on Aendale Haslet Parkway. They go that direction rather than trying to dump out on Blue Mound. So, it's like, you get them a solution on one side, you might pull traffic that direction rather than keep piling more onto Blue Mound. Kind of a long way around, but I don't know if that LaPrelle is going to have access up to Aendale Haslet or not.
Pat?
Yes, sir. Living on Blue Mound Road for the last 30 years, I can tell you that 30 years ago, we had 5 cars go down Blue Mound Road. That was a traffic jam. So now at 5 o'clock, it takes, like they said, 35 minutes to go from my driveway to 156. So it's not fun. And luckily, I'm retired and I don't go out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, but what I want to talk to you about is the right turns on north and southbound 156 on the Blue Mound east and west. As you're coming south, that's a solid white line there. And people jump over into the shoulder to turn right and get around all the traffic that's backed up there. I actually had a sheriff have a little discussion with me about getting over there on that shoulder and turning right. And he says, that's a solid white line. You're not supposed to cross that solid white line. So if you're going to put a right turn dedicated line in there, is that going to be out of the existing one lane that we have right now, or is it going to be on the shoulder where everybody's turning anyway? And the same thing on the right side going west, those trucks barely make it around that pole anyway. It's like the pole's all caved in and scraped up. But people get over the white line and pack up and go around. Those seem to be safety concerns to me because I don't do that anymore. And I've had people literally come, as I'm trying to turn right out of the right lane, they try to hit me. We've got a problem there that we need to address. And
You're right. And there are things, and locally we can look at things like that and propose those solutions, just in certain areas to TxDOT. Look, if you did this, if we do that legwork to show here, if you did this, here's what would happen, then they would be receptive.
We have to advocate for ourselves.
We do.
We have to advocate for ourselves.
We have to advocate for ourselves, and that's what we're in the mode of. Let me say, doggone it, I had something important to say. Oh, you're talking about the white line. Yeah. Okay, well, and, for fun time, I read the transportation code. So on the sides of 156, we got these big, their lanes improved, and that's called a shoulder. We got on parts of 156, we have a very large improved shoulders. The transportation code allows you to cross that right line on an improved shoulder to make right-hand turns, to pass up to, you get someone in 156, they're going to make a left-hand turn, they're headed north, going to make a left, they're stopped. Transportation code says, yes, you can go out on that improved shoulder.
Really?
So, yes, that is in the transportation code.
One of my neighbors got a ticket doing that.
Huh?
One of my neighbors got a ticket doing that at this intersection.
Well, they must have done something other than cross that line.
Can I say a little funny story?
Sure.
I'll start doing it, Gary.
And what's your name again, sir? Pat. To your point, when I lived in Roanoke, we had this exact same issue at an intersection on 377 right in front of Chick-fil-A and Walmart. And there's a shoulder right there that we all used to pull over on the right and turn to go back towards Byron Nelson High School. And one day, there were 3 motorcycle police sitting there, and they gave out like 30 tickets in one day. And everybody in the community raised a ruckus because we do that all the time, and I can't believe we're getting pulled over. And the next day or the next week, the city came out and restriped it and made it a turn lane. It was crazy.
No,
Yeah.
the transportation code says that. And Jeff Neal knows the transportation code too. He can attest to that.
Can I put in a plug for all the moms and dads in Haslet? We're talking about a lot of construction, and we're talking about both of the east-west major thoroughfares to get across, to get our kids to school. If they're both under construction at the same time, I'm going to kill somebody. I mean, not really, but I've also been told,
we're well aware of that.
I've also been told when they're building the bridge on Aendale Haslet, if and when we get there, they're going to have to completely shut that road down for maybe a year to actually build the bridge.
No.
Where we won't be able to get through at all.
No, that's not true.
So-
in the previous work, I know preliminary work with regard to Avondale Haslet and maybe building a bridge. That was in the earlier days. I'm talking about 3 and 4 years ago. There was a plan. It would keep that road alive.
Okay.
They would build a temporary road up to the north.
I'm just saying, if there's any way we can do the Blue Mound improvements and get them done before they start messing with Avondale Haslet, or vice versa, so that we can continue to have good connectivity. Because when Blue Mound was resurfaced, what was that, last year or a year before? It turned my 20 or 30-minute drive into an hour and a half just to cross the railroad tracks and drop my child off at school and get back to my house. Took an hour and a half. So I know these are all very important projects, but we absolutely have to take into account people's lives and their movements and how this is going to affect everybody. Because if we do have to close down, I'm glad to hear that Avondale Haslet is going to have some way to still be functional. But if we had to close that road for a whole year, you're talking a year for all of us to take an hour and a half to go from one side of the railroad tracks to the other, drop our kid off and get back again.
So to help alleviate
So
that,
we've got to
address-
think about those kinds of
Right.
things
We-
too.
And it is thought of. That is it's very conscious on our minds and all that we do. So a project like this is much easier achievable than and done in a quick amount of time, probably let's call it a year, from beginning to end. That improves the throughput on this roadway, east and westbound. There's another project that Mike's going to show you. It might be the last one, I don't know. And similarly, but it's much less expensive, and I think we might even add it in our budget. I know we did. Yeah, it's coming up. But it improves the throughput on Westport Parkway very much. And doing those two things, and then let's tackle that $80 million job. All right, go ahead. Well, I think what Chris is talking about, there's a long-term aspect, and what do we need to, there's a lot we need right now. Right now.
Yes, sir. So this is a quick one. If you recall, we had a warehouse, an industrial warehouse facility that came in and platted recently at Harmon Road and Blue Mound. That's the Ironwood plat. I don't remember the name of the developer, but we worked with them they're platting that 1 million square foot warehouse, would be bottom right of the screen there. And they agreed to, on their property and at their expense, relocate Blue Mound and Harmon Road in the configuration you see here. And that's as far as more or less we've taken it. So obviously there's a lot that has to be done. But that intersection would all be taken care of as in conjunction with that warehouse development, and then all their access would be directed onto the service road. They did have 2 points of access on Keller Hicks Road, and there's some interim things that we may need to look at doing there as far as trying to improve some of that capacity and throughput. But just, that's a big deal to reconfigure that intersection. I haven't put a cost to it, but it's probably, $5 million, $3 to $5 million. Now, the traffic signal there would just be, you already need a traffic signal out there, so I couldn't really stick them with a traffic signal, if that makes sense, because that wouldn't be roughly proportional to their development. So a traffic signal would need to come in once that roadway's in place. So the good news is we have a developer that's capable of taking care of that project for us. That's one off the list, so there is no cost estimate with that one. Okay. Question? Their preliminary plat was just approved, so they're probably 18 months before they're ready to go to construction. And that road would probably be another year on top of that, just realistically. Yep.
Wasn't there originally a circle down?
Yes, sir. We looked at the circle and there just wasn't enough capacity in there, so we realigned the intersection and recommending that it be signalized.
Speaking of circles, I'm not a huge fan either, but the best spot for one would be at the Keller Haslet and John Day Road extension here off Main. That would be the best place for a circle if I've ever wanted one. Right there.
Okay, Westport Parkway Schoolhouse. This is a project that's funded that we're trying to get Tarrant County out here. They're trying to make their stop in Haslet in September of 26. Nance parking lot, this project, and a piece of Virginia, I believe. Bain, sorry, at Virginia. Okay, sorry. So everybody recognizes where we're at here. Kind of. What we've shown here is you can kind of see the existing turn lane for southbound 156 traffic, leftbound onto Westport Parkway. And when we say we're in a changing environment out here, we are, because this intersection isn't fully, we can model it, or Heddle can model it all day long and tell what he thinks, but until that connection is made and the one-way conversion is done and our project is completed and the signal is in, we don't know exactly how this thing is going to perform, but we do suspect that there are going to be a lot more people stacking and making a left here. So one of the recommendations on this exhibit is showing TxDOT that, hey, you've got adequate pavement out here to just restripe and form a, I can't read that number, big long turn lane, 700 feet, 800 feet, whatever it is. And hopefully what we can do through the signal study that we would accomplish here sooner than later is figure out how to adjust that timing so that all those folks could get back out onto Westport. And then we're proposing a dedicated right lane on Westport Parkway coupled with county overlay and some striping improvements through there.
There's been a TIA on that left turn lane?
No, ma'am.
I was gonna say, because
No, ma'am.
I drive it every day. It's hardly ever backed up at all.
Well, and we
During the
think,
day and in the afternoon.
yeah.
Past Hurley.
Every morning, it's all the way up the bridge. You gotta be there at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I don't go to school that early.
5 o'clock in the evening it is too.
Yeah.
I come in there every morning.
I drive it every day, but I'm for it, but I just don't see that much of a backup on, but I'm still for it.
And what we're gonna have to do is, once everything is in its ultimate, or interim condition, I don't wanna say ultimate, interim condition would be one-way traffic north out of downtown here, with the inability for folks to come back down through. So their only route is going to be either up to intermodal.
Is that something that
Or
we'll
down.
be discussing if that's, I mean, I know that that was talked about at one time, and there was quite a bit of, I guess, resistance, pushback, so that's something we'll discuss and talk about, I mean, or is that like the goal, end goal?
The construction,
only,
the
yeah.
intersection was designed with that arrangement.
Okay.
So we're waiting on the traffic signal installation. Currently, the way the intersection is with the median cut back and the barricades that are out there, that's an interim condition until such time as the signal can get installed, which is about
You're
six
talking
weeks.
about Keller Haslet Road, and when we were opening up and TxDOT decided or actually it was Fort Worth, a week before we were going to open up, Fort Worth residents out in the west of us started worrying about could they get on 156 if they take that new extension to 156 and when it does not have a stoplight. Could they even get on the roadway? So Fort Worth District 10 took lots of calls. And so we met, and the request was, okay, could you suspend your construction of the remainder of that median to allow Sendera and Burlington Northern Santa Fe workers to still come into Old Town, use that as a thoroughfare coming and going until the traffic lights are put in. And we agreed to that. And that there was no pushback other than, hey, can we hold off for a little while? And absolutely we can. And TxDOT has done their promise. They put that light in at their cost. It was not part of the project. And I think, even COG was involved in that because they get to model all of this stuff. They model every movement we make anywhere in the world out here in that 16-county area. But nonetheless, we are waiting for Encore. They got the ball. They got to run the power, and TxDOT's standing by to wire it up. And we're looking at, about 8 weeks? Is that about it, David?
We're down to 6, hopefully.
All right. So that was good. But that one project, what was that? That was a multi-entity partnership to get that one Keller Haslet Road done. And it only took us almost 4 years to do it. But I looked at it, and there's only a round bell in the way 4 years ago, and I said, how hard can this be? Yeah, well, I found out. I will say one of the drivers and motivations for this project as well was Keller Haslet Road. You see that dedicated right-hand turn lane off Westport Parkway? That's to keep that flow of traffic headed north to go up to Westport Parkway, or not Westport, but up to Keller Haslet Road extension to 156. That is what that was for.
This one's not as exciting, but we wanted to walk everyone through the Maxwell Circle reconstruction project that we're working in conjunction with Tarrant County on. If you recall, when the fire station expansion was contemplated, one of the things that was necessary to do the expansion and desired by the fire department, given all their needs, was actual sewer service at the facility. Sewer along the 156 corridor in that area had always been a challenge. And so we looked at what are the possible opportunities to provide this fire station with sanitary sewer. So we did an analysis and figured out, okay, if we build from the north and string a line south, what in addition to providing direct service to the fire station, what other areas could benefit. So we ran through and did an analysis and figured out that running down 156 provided, I don't remember the acreage, it doesn't matter because we didn't do it, provided some benefit, but we got much greater benefit from running that sewer back from Buffalo Creek through Maxwell Estates along the park property and then out to 156. So you actually picked up a significant more drainage area and provided that direct access to sewer for the fire station. In saying all that, to get there, we were limited or hemmed in because the sewer that we're tying into is fixed in elevation. And we had 2 low points that we had to cross. So we're faced with trying to get the most direct route because of slope issues. And the most direct route was running that facility in the right-of-way of Maxwell Circle, which is in the ETJ. It was either that or build a lift station, and that wasn't going to be a viable option either, not within budget. So the county agreed and gave us a right-of-way construction permit with the understanding that we would help rebuild that road upon completion of construction. And the reason that they asked that is because they knew that our sewer line is so deep through there, it's 15 to 19 feet deep in spots. That construction relative to the edge of their roadway, given the fact that there is not much right-of-way, would ultimately lead to maybe not obvious distress with the road, but we were going to affect the performance and longevity of that road. And so we combined that estimated cost of $350,000 to rebuild Maxwell into the cost of the project for funding. And again, this is just, the green is the sewer line, Maxwell's highlighted in yellow. So they came back and we sat down with them, several weeks ago, and through our discussion about this project and other projects that we're trying to get going with the county guys, they said, well, I think what we can do is we can come in and cover the cost of the subgrade rebuild. We can basically go in, turn it all up, apply their cement, get it ready, put the prime coat down, and then the city just contribute to the overlay, the 4 inches of asphalt. And I said, well, that sounds reasonable. We had $350,000 in the budget because I had worked with them back before the project got started and we were funding the sewer line. And they said, well, we can build it for $333. And I said, okay, let's call it $350. So where we're at today is they're agreeing to cover everything except the yellow. So you guys are going to be on the hook for roughly $190. We had $350 programmed into the budget. So I thought that was very nice of those folks over at the county. They're trying to get out, again, hit Haslet in September, I believe, and get this project taken care of. But the other option for sewer service would have been a lift station, which would have probably cost $2 million, and David and James would have shot us, or try to find some other route through, I think, 6 or 7 different properties, and we would have spent probably 3 or 4 years getting easement and spent probably this much, if not more, to do so. We were under the gun to get sewer for the fire station, which, as you know, is going vertical. Couldn't really go vertical till we had the septic out of the way. So that's the information on the request, the funding, and the why are we constructing a road in the county. I know that question was posed by a couple different council folks, and that's the explanation on that one. I just hope that puts everything into perspective on that particular project. So if there's any questions for me, just let me know. Like I said, they're trying to get out there in September and get this all taken care of.
No, that looks better than the total 350.
Yes, sir.
That's good.
We work really well with the county, and we really appreciate all that they do for us because they do a lot. They're good folks to work with.
I just want to say, on the very front of the end of this thing is like, which route do you go? Because it could have, the obvious choice, they're, keeping it other than a lift station, was to take the route that we ended up taking here, and versus going out from the fire station out to 156, and then reconstruct sewer line all the way up north on 156. And we analyzed it from the and they were both about the same price. But the route that was shown going through Maxwell Estate area opened up 540 acres of drainage area, that we could serve on that sewer line. The one straight out to 156 and going north was 320 acres. So if you look at that, okay, return on investment, I got a potential serving 540 or 320. That just came into the play. But that was one of the things these folks check. What is the best value? Value has a lot of variables that go into it, but I just wanted to mention that.
Mr. Anderson, I felt like I saw something in the past where we were not redoing the whole U of Max, we were only doing a part of it, and that exhibit showed we were doing the whole U shape. Is that correct? I thought it was just like part of it.
No,
less than half.
The county's goal is to redo the whole thing. When we showed them that, guys, we're really only affecting half of the horseshoe.
Yeah.
They said, well, we don't want to have a rebuilt road out there. So, and that coupled, I think that kind of helped get some of the discussion going about them picking up the subgrade, because if you kind of look at things, it was half and half, if that makes sense. But the plan would be at the end of September, that whole road would be reconstructed. Yes, sir.
You got one more to go?
I got one more.
One more to go, and I know people here want to see it, but they also want to go home. All right, please.
Okay, Sweetgrass Phase 2. We did a walkthrough. Developers asking for final acceptance of the streets and utilities for Sweetgrass Phase 2 in May of '24. We're out there walking around, see some weird cracks in the pavement. Contractor, developer, don't worry about it, concrete cracks. We're like, I don't know about this. And we see some spots that look like they're holding water, flow some hydrants. We have issues in the curb. Contractor's like, yeah, I'm not sure that that's a problem. Developer's like, you guys are making a mountain out of a molehill. Well, we persisted, and we brought this to the council, I think in June of '24, and said, hey, we got some things going on. What? I don't know, but something doesn't look right. So after several months of back and forth, we basically told them, hey, you guys need to pay for some testing out here, and you need to prove that the roadway embedment and or the sewer backfill and embedment was put in accordance with the plans and specifications, because we don't think it was. And we don't feel like the city should have to pay for that. That needs to be used. So went through and back and forth, and they said, well, what areas are you talking about? So this is the north end of Sweetgrass Phase 2. The road up there is Haslet Parkway. That's Sweetgrass Boulevard, just to kind of orient everybody. So this was the area where we noticed severe profile issues in the gutter lines. We noticed excessive cracking along the top of the sewer, and issues that appeared to be tied to service lines tied to that main sewer. Went out, documented all the panels that had issues, went through and did a bunch of work just to get this thing brought to the attention of the developer and his sureties and everybody involved. The key with this one is the city never formally accepted the project, because we were able to say, hey, there's an issue with this, and unless you can prove to us that it wasn't, whether that was built correctly, or why we're having these issues. And they said, well, here's the test. And well, a test here or a test there doesn't mean that everything was, you can't test every single piece of construction. That's just not the way it works. So long story short, they should have all these streets that you see here rebuilt by October. We just got the call yesterday that but they had to go down to the sewer embedment, to the gravel around the sewer line, and rebuild all the way up with the lab there, testing everything. And one of the fundamental things that my guy, who was one of the guys that was out there, was they had an additional 12 truckloads of material that they had to bring in there when they were trying to get back to the same grades. And they weren't getting rid of material they were taking out, because our standard specification says they could use the native material, just had to be properly compacted. But when you have to bring in 12 truckloads of material, that means that you didn't get that compaction right. And we are not designing bridge beams. These are slabs on grade, if you will, and any consolidation of that material underneath will cause that material or the concrete to fail. So went through, the developer's engineer put together a set of reconstruction plans. These are very specific to what we ended up proving through about 8 months of testing that cost $65,000. And there's another $150,000 in testing to ensure that these reconstruction plans were done correctly by the developers, contractors. And there was several issues. We had issues with the utilities. We had issues with the dirt folks because the site was mass graded. Deep sewer went in, and sewer services came back in. If we could go back to the exhibit right before this, William.
Mr. Anderson, did you say they're going to be done by October?
That was the last schedule I got. Yes, sir.
So originally,
That's their plan.
That's their plan.
But they're supposed to have the concrete plant moved from North Glen to there to do the concrete for this project, right?
Yes, sir. I got the email yesterday. I think that they were trying to get that move, start that process.
Well, is North Glen done? Because I thought they were going to do North Glen first and then go to Sweetgrass with that.
That's correct.
Yes. I'd be lying if I said North Glen's done. I can get you the answer to that question.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just curious. I don't care either way. I'm just curious.
Yes, sir. Glenn Thurman, the paving, was going to finish up with North Glen and then move. So
that was the original plan, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's still the plan. The email we got the other day was, hey, you guys good with it? We need to start tying rebar. So so they're in the process of moving that plant. So
okay,
they should be about wrapped up.
I just have one slight curiosity question.
Sure.
I've been asked by some friends in North Glen.
Yes.
About their concern about people cutting through, and I know that may not be your purview per se, but one of the options is, for example, speed humps, which I know everybody loves. But would that be something that you would have, that you and the engineering would be done, or is that just, how do speed bumps get done? That's what I'm asking.
I can answer that.
Okay.
The subdivision would have to get a petition and come to the city. That's how it's done.
I told them they would need
inside of a subdivision.
Right.
The one that was put in the Vines. The Vines did a petition and brought it to the city. It meets certain criteria, then we go, okay, well, here's the type of speed bump that should be, traffic votes, okay. Here's the type of speed bump. Now, that's not a science, selecting speed bumps or humps. We're all new here in Haslet, Texas, other than Hugh White, to speed humps. So it's trial one. Let's see how that worked out. Yeah, well, I know what not to do. But nonetheless, that's the start of it. That is a solution. If they would like to go down that road, it'd be very easy right now. There's not a whole lot of people in that subdivision.
Well, they're very concerned that once those roads from North Glen connect to Blue Mound, that everyone's going to start cutting through there to get around the traffic at 156 and Blue Mound.
Well, they should be more than concerned. I can promise it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. But please pass that along to them. And if they will send me an email, I'll send them the petition and all the requirements that go with it, the ordinance.
Thank you.
So just to finish Sweetgrass Phase 2, this is the southern end so that's Sweetgrass Boulevard, north-south on the plan here. Blue Mound Road would be just off the sheet. This is the Phase 2 west of Sweetgrass. All of these areas, we noticed deficiencies in the pavement, such as joint spalling, excessive cracking, edge cracking, cracks greater than 0.25 inches in width. We were able to prove through testing and non-destructive surface testing, as well as pulling panels, that they did not have any issues with the utility installation or the roadway embedment, but a lot of this was built on cut. The north end, there was a lot of fill, a lot of bad, worse material, if you could say that about material in Haslet, because it's all bad. But what we've agreed to on this end, because of the testing and the work that's been done over the last year, is all these panels here will just be replaced. Pull a panel, verify subgrade integrity is still in place, and then the pavement panel goes back. So not a full blown 1 year long completely tear everything out that's been put back in and build it back up, because that's
Now,
what
some
they have to do.
sections, they are by choice to do that.
Well,
Are they
not on the south end.
No, I'm talking some section in this subdivision.
Right.
They are choosing to. It'd be easier, less cost, it'd be more cost effective just to tear all of it out, take it up, put it back, then pour it in with compaction test
Correct.
on every lift.
And the problem is, you know, if these streets aren't built and they don't get the longevity, once these streets are accepted by the city and after the 2-year maintenance period, they become the city's problem. And we have enough
Like what's in the
problems.
vines.
Sorry?
That's
Like
just
what's in
what
the
we
vines.
Yes.
reported
Yeah.
on Verona.
And that's what we're trying to avoid, right? So that's just an update. We're working with those folks to get that closed out. I'm sure they're ready for walkthrough and acceptance on that. We'll just keep everybody apprised as that continues to get wrapped up. That would be Sweetgrass Phase 2. We've got some maintenance claims in on Phase 1A, 1B, and 1C, because it was all same material, same dirt, same engineer, same contractor, same developer. So we're working through those maintenance claims right now. Those were all put in before the expiration of the 2-year maintenance period. 1B's been completed, but we're still sorting out 1A and 1C. William, you help me out on that one if you don't mind. Thank you, sir. Keep going. We're going to go to our last topic this evening, unless anybody wants to get in the weeds on these plans. Okay, here we go.
No.
Is this,
I do want to say that the diligence and on quality of what's being built out there is very important. And I did, I think at the council meeting, I said I would let y'all know when Verona it received its final acceptance, and that was in 2020, wasn't it, David? That was in 2019 is when those roads were accepted, and is most likely a very similar issue, except here in Sweetgrass, those roads were showing a failure, and they were only months old. So there's something severely wrong. Verona has taken, 5 years? And, but no doubt when the panels are pulled up to do the testing, and of course, now the city's gonna have to pay for all that work because we own it. That's the consequence of doing a final acceptance. And you're out of the maintenance period, performance bond. So, bottom line, our staff and engineering do an excellent job on the inspection of these roads and the quality of the construction that's done, because we do not want Haslet, Texas, building it all over again 3 years later.
that's correct. That's the charge. So real quick, 380 feet approximately between Naples and Syracuse Street. This sanitary sewer is located behind the curb, adjacent to the sidewalk in the little parkway. It's variable depth, but it's about 15 to 19 feet deep as you go north. The deeper it is, the more difficult it is to put in from the contractor's perspective typically. And what appears to have happened here was a lack of compaction in the zones above the sewer line. So I had my guy try to whip up a quick graphic of, that's a cross section, sewer line behind the curb. You can see the back curb, you see the sidewalk. They kind of they can come down at certain slopes without running a trench box through there. We suspect that one or more of those lifts didn't get compacted to the proper compaction specification and moisture content. The material out here is extremely unforgiving. Most contractors, you know, Ponder's got some really bad material up there, but it only runs about 5 to 6 foot deep, and then you get into solid rock. You guys have, I mean, this stuff that's out here, it's PI's in excess of 40, and it runs 40, 50 foot deep. Some of the worst material in the Metroplex.
What's PI stand for?
The plasticity index, and that's just how much that soil's going to shrink or swell when you introduce or pull out moisture. It's extremely unforgiving, and there's some spots in Irving along 635. If you're going where the dump and the fries used to be and you feel that, I mean, that pavement's 3.5 foot thick. I worked on a research project over there, and you can still feel that wiggle over there because that material's the same as what you have here. There's another spot in Arlington too. So you get a contractor out there, they're not, you know, they're used to just working wherever and it'll be good enough. And most places it will be. It's not as bad. This stuff here it's extremely unforgiving. Okay, and so we just really got to looking at this in the last week or so, but we suspect that when we go in and we try to test from the top down before we tear the world up just to figure out what's going on, we're probably going to find similar setup. But just to help you folks understand order of magnitude here, there we go. That's $515,000 to rebuild that 380 feet of street. Just because of the effort that has to go in at that particular location, because that's, I don't know, 6-8 foot of fill, you remember?
6 to 8, almost all the way.
You know, and you put the pavement back, the sidewalk, and the irrigation, the sod, and prop the fence up, and somebody's going to have a cracked driveway, and it's all in there. Traffic control, et cetera, et cetera. So I got 2 more real quick. I promise they're quick.
You told me you had one left
This
six
one
slides ago.
This is one section. Street failures. There we go. Brentwood Park street reconstruction. Just to give everybody an overview of what we put together from a cost estimate standpoint. So there's Brentwood Park. If you recall, Brentwood Park was built with roller compacted concrete with no rebar, and there was no drainage that was dealt with in the construction of, or the reconstruction of those streets back in whenever that was, 2019, 17, somewhere in there. Those streets are starting to fail fairly significantly. How quickly they'll fail, I've never encountered a road built without rebar. I've only seen that in a couple of dams. I'm sure we could go figure it all out, but everybody knows that road needs to be rebuilt. So we've estimated to rebuild that road and deal with the drainage that needs to be dealt with, it's about $2.1 million. Okay, so that was, we didn't just pull that number out. We actually went through and we did a detailed cost estimate for it. I hope that says 2.1. It does. Okay. There's a 2.2. I always round up. Haslet Park, we have a similar situation. The east half is now concrete with the rebar, but that front half needs to be dealt with. This is a little bit easier project in so much as it's really just to pull out, get rid of that roller compacted concrete, and then put down reinforced concrete. Not as much drainage, but you have some challenges in that you got to deal with the state on your approaches and some of that work out there by the highway. I think we had this one at 2.7 million. So those are just things that are waiting in the wings that at some point need to be dealt with. But if you look at our 10-year capital plan that we have for pavement and streets, we're already programming in, efforts in these neighborhoods like the Vines and Watercress that we suspect you're going to have issues in the future moving forward. And you can see, 500 here, million there, it adds up. We've got about $850,000 out right now under bids. We're bringing those back to you in October to deal with all the issues on Westport Parkway, all those panels, the ones on intermodal, the really bad spots in Brentwood, the spot out here on Main Street, Gamble over here. So that's $850,000. So you'll see, you know, just how far your dollar goes. We got a lot of interest on the project, so I'm hoping we can get it all done. But anyway, that's the end of it.
See, go ahead.
This has been awesome, and getting, just as a resident, I feel like a lot of the traffic woes, we've gotten a lot of like rumor feedback in the past of, oh, there's going to be a bridge. There's not. So this has been a great workshop and getting a lot of informative information. So thank you for compiling that and bringing everyone in and working with TxDOT. One thing I didn't see on here, and or maybe I missed it, is what about the expansion of 156 or anything about 156 traffic on 156?
Mark's phone turned off.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, you asked about, I can repeat that. You asked about the expansion of 156. 156 is not on the 10-year plan. It never has been on a 10-year plan. The most of what they've ever had is a schematic, and that's where that's at.
How does it get on the plan? Because I guess I would have assumed all, with this being a traffic workshop, that would be included in
We don't have any say over 156.
We don't have any say over a lot of what we talked about tonight either.
Yes, we do. That we have directed, but you're asking very specifically on 156, how does it get on the 10-year plan? And that's through, I guess, in combination with COG and TxDOT, determining how bad do they need it. Well, they'll identify, well, you know what? We know within the next 10 years they're going to need that road widened. When in that 10 years, we're not quite sure. But it gets on that 10-year plan, and they start their work and estimating what it has to be. Am I too far off on that, Jeff? And as it gets nearer and they can get confirmation of the need and kind of ballpark and when that they need to start working on it, then they, and all the while determine how big, whatever the case may be, and how much that money is. And they get their money from the state. That gets budgeted at the state level.
So is this considered one of those regional things?
No, this is a state thing.
Okay. All right. So how can me, just a resident who gets mad about sitting in traffic, what channel do I go through to try to?
Well, my intention is there are a number of immediate things that we've had to get through, and it's taken several years to, what you see right now is a culmination of about 3 years of work and consolidated work, because all of this had to be brought together, sorted out, and working with other entities, but also having engineering get detailed data. So this really, so you got with presentation here about 10 different projects. And okay, to bring all of that's running simultaneously, and we have, like everybody else, is a small team. TxDOT doesn't have a big team of people. COG doesn't have this endless team of people. Nobody does in industry or in government. But they've been working. So here's where I'm headed with it: is I can write and call and try to get an audience with the Transportation Commission, those commissioners. And that's my thought is. And they know, when I say Haslet, Texas, or at least Alliance Airport in Burlington North and Santa Fe, they're going to know exactly where I'm talking about. And it's going to catch their attention. And why? This area we're in is one of the major economic engines of the state of Texas. Period.
Right. So I guess.
I want to make a comment. I
Microphone. It doesn't work. It's all
when they did Blue 26, all right, then they did just for like 56 during that time, and then when it came back for 156, it was decided maybe we don't need it yet. And so
By who?
I thought we were always on the 10-year plan. I was looking for my notes when I called and talked to TxDOT, gosh, 6 years ago. So I'll find them because I don't throw anything away.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get back on their schedule. I agree.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
back on
it's
their schedule?
frustrating.
We were on the schedule?
That's what I
No,
thought.
we never were. And Jeff can confirm that.
Okay. Yeah. I'll look and find out who I talked to.
I just don't see how we can finish a transportation workshop for our city without including a major, sorry.
Ma'am, Council, to my knowledge, the portion of 156 north of 287 up to Intermodal Parkway has not been on the 10-year plan.
What about
In terms
south of it?
South of it, from 287 down to, I believe it was,
Loop
through
820.
Saginaw,
Yeah.
the project that's been
Yeah.
recently completed.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Jeff?
And so how did those projects all around us get done and ours not? What am I missing?
So just a variety of different circumstances, and certainly looking, everything is being thought of as a system. And so tackling north-south and east-west, and I really think some of the issues like being able to connect intermodal into the yard, being able to take care of Avondale Haslet and the connection to Haslet Parkway. Once you're able to solidify how the east-west connections occur. For example, your question, do any of those bridge designs account for the widening of 156? Well, they do, but the moment that we're able to solidify the bridge and those east-west designs, it's going to be a lot easier for TxDOT to be able to tackle 156.
Well, and I have one other follow-up question. On our own website, we have the 156 TxDOT 60% schematic proposal. So
Yeah.
so then how was it never even, it's still on our website today.
2018.
So 2018, so at one point we were on,
No, we were not on the
We were
10-year
preparing
plan.
the environmental and
preparing the
schematic.
environmental to be on it.
Correct.
2018,
Correct.
60%. Okay, thank you.
And so your opinion is that when the east-west thoroughfares are dealt with, then there won't be a need for an expansion of 156, or only at that time you'll start considering it?
Well, we're
and
already
analyzing it?
We're already considering it, and in our long-range transportation plan, we already are assuming that there will be ultimately the funding to widen 156. It's now just a question of getting the engineering done, getting the environmental done, and then trying to program
And
it.
it's TxDOT that does that
TxDOT does
entirely?
it. TxDOT would do.
And who requests TxDOT to do that? Or you just do it on your own? Or like, do us as residents who are sitting there, we call you guys? Or like, what? That's kind of what I want to know.
You call, obviously, you're.
Or we need to call our mayor
Call
or
the
city
mayor.
council?
The mayor contacts us, the mayor contacts
Okay.
TxDOT. We're in the business of arranging these partnerships for the different projects. 156 is certainly going to be another one of them.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you for attending tonight.
My name is Glenn Hazelwood. I don't live in Haslet. I live in Avondale Ranch, 13200 Charlotte Inn. You guys are aware that, and I did not see this mentioned at all, that Fort Worth is planning on expanding Avondale Haslet from Willow Creek all the way to their city limits, 4 lanes. That starts in January. What are you guys doing for your portion? Or is it going to go from 4 lanes back down to 2 at your portion when they're done in what they say is going to be 2
Our portion will be
years?
4 lanes. It'll exactly match, and we coordinate with Fort Worth. And
So
it'll
the question is-
exactly match.
When are your plans to start your construction? portion?
Construction for Avondale Haslet Road, that piece could be easily 3 years out before it starts construction.
So by the time Fort Worth is done with theirs, you will not have started with yours.
Well, that was
That's
part of
correct.
that was part of our discussion earlier in the evening when we were talking about the whole grade separation and the bridge over the railroad tracks. That's
Yeah, but
that's the project.
That covered the bridge portion, and I understand that.
Well-
But it's that portion from basically John Day to the western city limits on
It's all the same project.
It would be one project to do that.
Okay, so once the bridge work, we'll just call it the whole bridge work, once that starts, that's going to go from
From
wherever
the S-curve.
156, schoolhouse, whichever
It'll go from
project
the
is
S-curve
approved,
all the way to 170.
to basically, right in front of the S-curve.
Yeah.
Where your
Yes,
city
sir.
limits,
Yep.
okay.
Right.
Because I
It'll
drive
start,
that
the
every
project,
day.
you're right.
You know, and I drive Westport every day. It's a mess. We all know. So I just want to make sure that when Fort Worth starts their portion, you guys are doing your portion.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
trying to be critical. I know this sounds that way.
No, I understand.
I'm like an hour and a half past my bedtime. So,
But if you look at, you look at the situations.
Right,
obviously,
exactly.
Because we've got a major issue with TxDOT 156 and the railroad tracks, and City of Fort Worth is just paving a flat road on some
right,
gravel.
we got basically 4 entities that we're having to work with here. You know, Fort Worth, Haslet, TxDOT, Tarrant County. Plus all of the people who own the land. I get it. So just know we want you guys to fix.
If you can go to the City of Fort Worth and put in a plug to help the City of Haslet, we would greatly appreciate it.
Unfortunately, I don't live in the city of Fort Worth either. I'm in that one little section where we can still shoot off fireworks. So
Your neighborhood's just west of 287, correct? Avondale Ranch, or is that?
no, we're just east of, we're just behind the Walmart.
Oh, okay.
So we're that one little side where it's still county.
Well, listen, folks, it's late.
Thank
Hey,
you.
thank you. And it's getting close to 10:30. I know there's people who've got to go to bed and get up and be at work at 8 or 7:30 or 7 and still. So, thank you all. I'm going to give y'all a round of applause. Thank you very much. It was a good job. You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. Thank you so much, Mayor. And again, thank you. The presentation was really revealing, and obviously it shows that there's more than one regional project. We often like to think of these things as like cogs within a wheel, and I hope maybe this can help. When it comes to the State Highway 170 project and the connection to Intermodal Parkway, what TxDOT needs in terms of a resolution to be able to bring that on system does not lock the city in any way to construction outcomes. All of that is still being determined, and obviously aware that there are a lot of decisions to be made. The one thing that does is it enables for that project to be on system, alleviating Haslet of responsibility, financial responsibilities when it comes to maintenance, and then leading to the budget that we've identified within the application, of which the city of Haslet doesn't need to contribute anything. So that, knowing questions are going to be answered with that, knowing that we're going to have questions answered regarding the bridge over BNSF and potentially 156, when all of these things get unlocked, and then we start looking at Blue Mound, which will be another opportunity, I think, that we can partnership. It's almost like the snowball rolling down the hill. We're going to gain momentum, and a lot more things are going to be done. We want to do that with our partners, whether it's Fort Worth or Haslet. It doesn't matter the population. We just want to tackle all the needs wherever they exist. So know that we stand with you, and we want to work with you, and our job is to make it as easy as possible for you and the rest of the region, all at the same time. Thank you all. A little longer than 30 seconds, but I'm sorry.